Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. I'm Jason and I'm your host for this episode. You may be wondering where Gunnar Gimli is. Well, he was last seen on a tour of the Emirates. We're not sure which tour of the Emirates, so your guess is as good as ours. He may be in a cell somewhere. Tonight, I'm joined by an illustrious panel. We have the button monkey, Danny the GFP. Say hello, Danny.
Hello, Danny.
How are you, fella?
I'm always good, and even better to hear your dulcet tones. My mum loves your accent.
I love your mum as well.
If she had her way, I'd be calling you Dad by now.
Oh, Jesus.
As long as you don't ground me.
Oh. No. Here we are. There we go. That's enough of you. Next, we have God's representative on Earth, the Right Reverend Raj Patel, currently touring all over Europe. And I hear you have an announcement to make, Raj.
Yeah, it's been a while, Bill. I've been away for a month, haven't I? So, I've got a great new company which is starting tomorrow. It's called Tours with Arsenal Twitterati, also known as Twat. And the website is twat.co.uk. So if you want a tour with me, it starts from $6.99, but you've got to pay for the pie.
Oh, crikey! Is that where Gimli is?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. He's got the toilet tours, so he's $2.99 if you want to go with him in the toilets.
Well, you get a free reach around.
Yeah, that was going to say, finger in the pie and a reach around.
Did you see the tweet that Gimli did the other day, listing all the stuff that he does?
Oh, Jesus.
I even look at that now and it makes me laugh. That was comic genius.
To be fair, the boy's got a flair for the ludicrous. You gotta love him. We miss you again. We miss you. Right, on to the little Lord Fauntleroy of the city, Andrew Fife.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm very well, Andrew. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. Danny, your mum wishes that you call Jason Daddy. Does she call Jason Daddy?
I don't know. She's a wily old fox, is me mother. She's 71 and 4'11".
I've done older.
Just the way I like. Just the way
Only joking.
I've done shorter.
She come in the other day, and I was talking on the phone to Jason for about an hour, and then she come in, and as soon as she heard his tone, she went, "Is that Jason?" I said, "Yeah," and she started getting all fruity with him over the phone. It's disgusting.
So she's forgiven me for the potato with the candles and then for a birthday.
I don't think she understood it.
Oh, thank God for that. Well, there we go. Right on. Okay, last but not least, we have royalty here. It's Mark King. How are you, Mark?
I'm all right, Jason. Thank you very much, mate.
Very good, very good. It's nice to have you back, mate. Nice to have you back.
It's always a pleasure to be on with you guys.
Oh, God.
Always a pleasure, never a joy.
You don't expect much, do you?
No.
You know, fair play to you. Fair play to you.
You know, it's better to travel in hope than whatever the rest of the saying is.
So, yeah.
No. I didn't realise I was on with Mark and Raj tonight. I didn't realise it's a BSM special. This is all a bit EIE, isn't it?
Well, you know, we're trying to mix things up a bit, you know, especially after Bayern, so what the hell, innit?
You do me a favour, Andrew. Can you scan your passport and send it through? I just need to check that you're okay to talk about Arsenal. Thank you.
Oh, I'm saying nothing. Right, Danny.
Yes.
Round up. Get on with it.
Okie dokie. There's no Loan Watch this week because I was busy playing Forza 6. So in the European Youth League, we beat Bayern Munich 2-0 with 2 goals from Iwobi, which is 73rd and 78th. Spanked Bayern 2-0, lovely jubbly. And then in the ladies, had the final game of the season, beat Birmingham City 3-1 with goals from Ruida, Carter and Scott. We ended up finishing 3rd in that league, 7 points ahead of Sunderland in 4th. But as Chelsea and Man City have bought the league, we are moral champions. And I think that's it. There might be, I think maybe the youths did play one other game. It beat Southampton, lost 4-1 to Southampton, which I'm not sure what happened there. It was the day after my birthday. So, and our goal was a penalty. So the least we said about that, the better. So there you go, that's it. Women's season is over. We've spanked the Germans with the youths and with the first team.
Did you see Iwobi's goal for the under-19s?
No, I didn't. Was it good?
It was unbelievable. Yeah, brilliant.
Quality goal. Get a chance, look it up. I didn't realise you can watch those games live on YouTube. I think like UEFA have a channel, and you just put it on and watch it live. So
yeah, you can. Yeah.
That whiled away a good 90 minutes at work.
Excellent. Jesus. We won't mention where Mark works then. You know. Well, hey, I guess while you're there, Mark, Watford away.
Yes.
Watford on a good run of results, only lost to Man City, doing quite well, and Crystal Palace doing quite well. We've gone there and beaten them 3-0. What was your take on it, pal?
Well, I think you can see why they're in the position they're in, and why they haven't let in many goals, but also why they haven't scored many. They're very, very organised, efficient, dull, boring team to watch. But they will stop a lot of teams from scoring because they are very much of a defensive mindset. Unfortunately, what that does mean is that they're not going to get forward too much, so they weren't that dangerous. And really, it was about them using the physical strength of their two fellas up front to see if they could cause us a few problems, which they did for a little while. But I thought the longer the game went in, the more I sort of didn't worry about it being a banana skin, and I just sort of thought it's going to come. Any minute we're going to get a goal, and I think once we get one, we'll be all right. And funny enough, that was kind of what happened.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating first half. Raj?
Yes.
Your view in the second half, mate, because it kind of opened up.
I think Mark was quite right. I mean, their forward play, Watford's forward play wasn't that great. And when they did have a couple of shots on target, there was one good save by Cech, but a couple of the shots were like 20 yards wide of the post and stuff. And I think when we're playing away, it's just a case of being a little bit patient, staying compact and absorbing some of that pressure that Watford put on us. And then in the second half, we were just quality, and they tired, and we've got so much quality in the team at the moment that, same as Mark, I was quite relaxed about the game, and I expected us to score in the second half, and we did. And it was a great fillip for the Bayern Munich game.
Yeah, I mean, Alexis Sanchez back on the score sheet. Andrew Fife, it's a great 3 points. Alexis scoring, Giroud back on the score sheet, and Rambo finally bagging one for the Arsenal again. What did you make of the goals, mate?
It was fantastic. I mean, the goals are fantastic. They were a long time.
Pull your charger out. Pull your charger out.
It's not the first time you said that to me.
Sorry, carry on.
His missus says that every week.
I wish.
Oh, Jesus. This is car crash podcasting. I love it. Sorry, Andrew, carry on.
No, where were we? Arsenal, Bayern Munich, yeah?
No.
I'm joking. No. I know, I'm joking. The goal, specifically the game itself, we took a long time getting into the game. Watford held us up pretty well, I felt. It was a very, experienced performance from Watford from their perspective, and I wasn't expecting them to hold out for as long as they did. But, my word, when we did eventually hit the back of the net, when we penetrated them, there was no stopping us. I think we looked at dangerous early on for them. What are you giggling at?
Penetrated.
Jesus. I'm sorry, this is what I have to work with.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, keep going, Fife.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
It's like a sex education class for year 9 kids here. Fuck yeah, now. No, we were excellent. Ramsey from the get-go was, his goal was fantastic, but from the get-go he was orchestrating things on the right-hand side. I felt, putting that ball Theo in the first 10 minutes. And I think actually the header Theo got off, he got some purchase, but if that was Giroud in the first 10 minutes, we would have been 1-0 up. Thought we pressed them pretty well. We, Vicarage Road isn't an easy, as was mentioned, it's not one of the easier sides to go to this season, which is kind of unexpected of them. They've been relatively formidable at home, but it was a solid performance from Arsenal. For Kafala, I looked at his one of those Squawker pass heat maps earlier, where it shows all the splodges of red where he made passes. It looked like Kurt Cobain's Autopsy. There was so many splots of red all over the pitch. He was just fantastic, dominating the game. Okay, I think we're going to move on. Shall we go back to Mark?
No, pardon me, sorry. No, carry on, mate, carry on. Kurt Cobain, that's terrible. Crack on, son. So Santi Cazorla was fantastic. It did seem like a really good team performance, to be fair. I thought in the first half we were on the verge of breaking them, but as you say, the second half we really took off. Do you think we should have grabbed the fourth?
What right there? It's not Arsenal, too, is it? It's just not us.
No.
You shouldn't expect it. You shouldn't expect it.
Yeah, Mark, who's your star player from the game, mate?
Do you know what? I can't really remember too much about the match from the point of view of picking out who played well. It was just, as I say, it was a very solid performance by the whole team. It was just a good all round solid performance. There was nothing spectacular about it. I'm thinking probably Alexis
Yeah.
again.
It's amazing, isn't it, that they were all going on about him playing 2 games for Chile with a back strain or a side strain and stuff. And he plays against Watford, and he doesn't look like he's been injured whatsoever. I mean, he seems like a Superman at the moment. I used to worry about him, but I don't anymore. He just wants to play every single game, doesn't he?
At first, I thought it must be the Peds from his time at Barcelona still in his bloodstream, but obviously,
Yeah.
he's been here long enough that they'd have gone out by now, unless he sort of kept a supply over when he came over. So I don't know. Allegedly, may I add.
There's probably some doctor from the Tour de France keeping him fit. Who knows? Who knows? Jesus. I tell you what, boys. Now, so Raj, team seems to be gelling, coming along nicely. They've handled the international break and that well, and a good 3 points. Anything to add to the Watford game?
No, not really. It's just interesting to see that they are now. Well, for me personally, it's noticeable that they're adapting to each game as they play now. And that's got nothing to do with tactics or anything. It's just that they seem to be more intelligent in their play. They played a different way against Man United. They were a little bit more defensive against Watford. And then obviously we're going to come on to Bayern Munich in a minute when they played in a completely different style as well. So it's very impressive and very exciting for me as an Arsenal fan to see them play at the moment. And I'm just enjoying the ride.
Superb. Danny,
Yes.
have we turned a corner?
I wouldn't say we turned the corner. We carried on at full speed down the home straight of goodness, as I've just renamed it. For my man of the match, apart from, I'd probably say it was Ozil against Watford. He got an assist. He got 2 assists and a second assist. But the thing that amazed me about the game, apart from Watford's innovative tactics of 8-2-0, which I thought was, that's an interesting combination of players and defence, especially when you're at home, because their home record hasn't really been that good. They've played 5, they played 4, they'd won 1, drawn 2, lost 1. So I think someone had already said, but they'd only scored 1 goal at home all season, which is not very good. But they're better than some teams. But the thing that I thought was something I hadn't really seen all season, but it's been building up a little bit. Last season we had Bellerin attacking down the right hand side, and he was our main attacking outlet at times. That game, Monreal down the left hand side was absolutely superb, and the interaction between him and Sanchez, because they say that an important thing is your fullback and your wide players have to work together, like it used to be Winterburn and Perez, or it'd be Dixon or Lauren and Ljungberg and. Did I say Winterburn and Perez? I think that was right. Anyway, know what I'm on about, that combination of your fullback, they've got to work in tandem. That was the problem down the right-hand side when we had Sanya and Walcott. Walcott was so unable to do any kind of defensive duties that Sanya had to do the job of the right-back and a kind of right midfield as well. So seeing Monreal at the weekend, it was playing absolutely brilliant. And he got man of the match. He got 8.8, Sanchez 8.6, Ozil 8.3. But I like to keep. I've got my own stats of the games, and I have like the first assist, second, third, and fourth assist. So Sanchez got 1 goal, he got 2 fourth assists, and then Ozil got 2 assists, a second assist, and Cazorla got a second assist and a third assist. I know people thinking, "Oh, that's rubbish. What's that got to do with anything?" But then you can see the build up for the goal. Like the first one, Sanchez to Ozil to Cazorla to Ozil, then Sanchez. That way that it was almost like a game of pinball where they're pinging the ball 1-2, 1-2. Back and over again. I mean, at times Watford must have thought, what the hell have we got here? How can we? I'm surprised they held out so long. And that is a game that maybe we could have won 4, 5, 6-0 the way we were going. But 3-0 away from home, another clean sheet. Absolutely stunning. Loved it. And the team are gelling brilliantly. And it's good to see that you can have someone up front. When Giroud plays up front and we don't score, everyone goes, "Oh, Giroud, you need putting down." But when Theo plays up front and he doesn't score, he works so hard for the rest of the team, dropping back, and because he doesn't have to do the defensive duties that Giroud does. And so it's nice to see that people aren't getting on Walcott's back because they can see that he is an integral part of the attacking system. Like we're going to talk about Bayern in a minute, and his role against them just typifies the how much of a threat Theo is. And I remember when he got injured, we all thinking, we weren't sure whether he's going to still be able to have that pace and that electric acceleration and stuff like that, but it seems that he's still got it and plenty of it. I love the game. I'm really excited at the moment about our run of recent results.
Yeah, it's superb. I mean, they seem to be really working for each other now, don't they? You know, we're kind of over that difficult period, and you know, they've put Olympiacos and Zagreb to bed, and they're really going for it, and it kind of showed, didn't it?
Certainly did.
Superb. Well, to be honest, that's Watford done. Stuff it. There were more important things happening on Tuesday night, guys. It's the big one. It was Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich at the Emirates. Mark, not many people gave us a chance against the boys from Bavaria. But we changed our tactics. Our performance was superb. The work rate of the boys was fabulous. What were your thoughts, mate?
To be honest, I don't know why. Like, it seems that everyone wrote us. I think there was a lot of people that had a certain amount of confidence. I mean, it's not like we were on a bad run of form in games. It's just obviously poor form we'd had in the Champions League so far. But we've done all right against Bayern Munich, and we can generally hold our own as long as we can keep 11 men on the pitch and stop giving penalties away. So, I thought, and this is the big thing with Arsenal at the moment, is that we know that Arsenal can beat any team in the world. The problem is that we also know that Arsenal can lose to any team in the world. So that's the big issue we've got. So I went into the game thinking, yeah, we can give it a go. I don't think we changed our tactics. I thought we went with the same tactics that we've used in certain other games where we've decided that we don't need the possession of the ball.
Yeah.
I thought we started off very well. And I think then after about 10 minutes, they kind of got to grips with that, and they took the control of the ball, and that was then when they were really sort of pressing us. And where I sit, Costa was terrorising Bellerin just in front of us, and he gave him a really, really torrid time. I mean, that is something Bellerin will learn more from that one game than he will learn from 10 Premier League matches, because Costa, he really sort of gave him a bit of a roasting without too much end product on the end of it, which was good. But there were chances at both ends in the first half. Neuer made a good save. Although,
it was fabulous, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was a really great save because of the speed it went to him, his reactions to push it wide. But I'm still disappointed that I think Theo made it savable. But they had at least one decent chance. I think it might have been, was it Thiago that was put through by Alonso and Cech saved it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was Thiago.
So,
yeah.
I mean, at half time 0-0, I think most people were probably sort of quite happy with that.
Yeah, we'd seemed to come back into the game, hadn't we?
Yeah.
Right, Raj, going on to the second half, mate. Rambo gets injured.
Which is a huge shame, actually.
It was horrendous. It's a hamstring. It's frustrating, isn't it? But what it does it gives the Ox a chance to prove himself. I think we got to look at the positives in that. But Walcott, after a really, really hard-working performance, left the park, and Oli Giroud came on, and from
and once again proving everyone wrong again. He gets so much criticisms, and he comes on and he scores a goal. I think he's done that a couple of times now in the last couple of weeks. And I'm going back to Theo. It was a bit disappointing. He had a couple of clear-cut chances to score in the first half. And I do wonder whether he doesn't believe in himself more than anything else. I mean, I think everyone else believes in him. I think he could be a really good, great goal scorer, but he seems to kind of bottle it a little bit when he gets that chance. And in these big games, you might only get 2 or 3 chances in a game. I mean, I think we had 8 chances in the whole game, and that's more than any other team had put against Bayern Munich this season so far. And one of the factors is also why we played so well, why Bayern just didn't know what to do with us. It was because I don't think Bayern Munich actually get tested in the Bundesliga. It's a bit of a flat-track bully system with them in their competition. So this is the first proper kind of decent opposition they had this season, and it was us. And so we kind of capitalised on it. Giroud scored, and then, Ozil scored the second at the end, but I think it was thoroughly deserved. Mark was spot on. We let them play. We let them keep the ball, and that's very, very important. In recent times, we've tried to get the ball off them and cocks it all up. But we let them have 70-80% possession. That was fine. I think we're learning now, and hopefully we'll spring on. We need to either we have to qualify. We can't end up third. So I'm quite confident what'll happen in 2 weeks' time. I might even get a draw. Might even win. So we'll see.
Yeah. You spoke about Oli Giroud there. I mean, his performance against Zagreb was insipid. And against Bayern, he came on. He was inspired. Lots of hustle and bustle. The only man to get a yellow card. He seemed up for the fight. Now the goal.
Handball.
Well,
it was handball.
Yeah,
it was a handball.
Yeah, the hand as you do. That's not fair. Okay, it's hit his head. It's come off his hand. It's gone in. But would almost impossible for the officials to see. So excellent. But again, he got there. He made that ball his. Do you think he's capable of going on to a run now and really, capitalising on this?
Well, if I was the manager, I would put Giroud up front on Saturday and bring Theo out wide. I don't trust Ox at the moment. I don't think he's playing very well to be given a chance out wide. And I'd bring Theo back on the right wing, and that's my formation for Saturday. It wouldn't change the rest of the team whatsoever. They're playing very well. But that's what I'd do. I'd give Ollie a chance on Saturday.
Oh, fair enough. Andrew Fife.
Hello.
What did you think of the game, mate?
I thought we were excellent. I mean, from the off, before the game, the fans were brilliant. There was an excellent piece of art put together by Red Action. We had Together Arsenal. We kind of, we needed to know from the outset that the 12th man was going to support Arsenal going into this game. It was the biggest game for us of the season. It was bigger than Man United. It was bigger than Liverpool at home. It was bigger than Chelsea away. Many people had written us off out of the Champions League. Many people thought we were done and dusted, and we lost some silly points. This was a critical game, and I think it was mentioned that there was a lot of negativity. But although people at Whisper, both Raj and I, we were predicting wins. It was one of those games where you just you felt that it was going to be so typical of Arsenal to do something stupid like have a howler against Olympiacos and then bring it back against Bayern. We were defensively solid. It was like the old Arsenal of old. We used to say to teams, come and have a go at us if you think you're hard enough. And then we'd hit them with so much skill, so much pace on the break that we were just, at times we were unplayable against them. I mean, there were periods where it was, completely dormant and the stadium was silent because Bayern wouldn't let us have the ball for 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And they killed us. And you could see that, they were really working hard to it was like a python snake. They were suffocating us. We weren't allowed the ball. We weren't allowed to play, that typical Arsenal of, short, sharp movement into the verticals, into the spaces, and trying to open them up. So for us, it was much more about, speed, proactivity, and counter-attacking them and hitting them. And with players like Sanchez and with players like Walcott, whose off the ball movement and pace is incredible. It just allowed for Sanchez, for Ozil, and for Cafforla, to just pick apart Bayern at times. And let's not beat around the bush. Bayern were excellent and they gave us a fantastic game. But ultimately, the game came down to which team could take their chances, which team were clinical, and we won it at the death. And it was one of the most fantastic nights I've had at the Emirates in a long time.
Mark, did you think Sanchez was a bit off the boil on Tuesday? I thought it was a little bit. Okay, that's a no.
Sorry, no, sorry, mate. I thought he was his normal self. The thing is with Sanchez, and I always say this: the reason. There's two reasons why the guy didn't make it at Barcelona. One is that he runs around like the fucking Tasmanian devil, and the second one is his passing. Because his passing can sometimes be really quite poor, and obviously in a Barcelona team that's not going to go down very well. So I mean, there's times when the guy he's like he frustrates you so much because he'll run back and win the ball, and then he'll fuck about and he'll do what he did last night. He'll play a pass straight to a Barcelona forward who's only then got one centre back in front of him. So I think sometimes it's just he does everything at such speed. I think he has a bit of a brain fart and just makes a bad pass every now and then. But you cannot help but love the guy, for the effort and the quality that he has got. You have to kind of look at his faults and think, oh, fuck that. We'll put up with that because of all the brilliant things that he does.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, he gave the ball away, in poor positions twice last night. His pass percentage was 48% success rate. And you could see the frustration, even Ozil's having a pop at him last night. But his work ethic, his commitment to the cause is just top-notch week in, week out, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not an excuse. I think we all know he's a world-class player, and I'm a massive fan of his. He's one of my favourite players in the team, and I'm always going on about how good he is and stuff. But if he does have, I mean, he did, make some really silly passes in the midfield, gave away to the Bayern Munich players, and then when there were times when he should have passed, he was trying to dribble out of danger and gave the ball away. So I think when he does that, have a few of these kind of moments, it needs to be highlighted. I mean, there's no dispute about his work ethic and stuff, but in a game as major as this, you want your kind of world class players right on song, and maybe just a little bit on Tuesday he wasn't. So hopefully he'd realise that himself.
Do you think that sometimes what it is, he tries to take too much upon himself? So there's so much expectation, isn't there?
Yeah,
he has absolutely the game forward. It's a little bit like what Steven Gerrard was like in his peak at Liverpool.
Yeah. Maybe he should just use his teammates a bit more. I'm not saying that this is a problem that's going to persist and stuff, but every now and again he has a game where as you said, 48% success rate in passing. It's not good enough for Champions League. But
I mean, to be fair, Bayern's pressing was excellent last night. But sorry, guys. By the way, Tottenham lost 2-1 to Anderlecht. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Danny,
support the English club in Europe, mate. Come on.
Why would I support the English club in Europe?
He's Welsh.
Go fuck yourself.
Come on, Wrexham.
Yeah. Come on, Newport County.
Yeah.
Sorry, Danny. Nacho Monreal. A lot of people are eulogising many of our players last night, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Every single guy who took the park was superb, in my opinion. Work rate was there, attitude spot on, discipline was fantastic. I was really proud of the performance they put in. But we really saw a performance from Nacho Monreal, which was fantastic. Between him, Koscielny and Mertesacker, we didn't see Thomas Muller last night on the pitch. One of the world's best forwards was just played out of the game. How did you see the defensive effort last night from the guys?
I think a lot of it had to do with in the first half, Bayern pushed up so high, and they were just teetering on the edge of disaster, because every time that they pushed their back four up, we'd get the ball, we'd take the pressure and we'd take it, and all of a sudden, bang, Theo would be gone. It reminded me of the Invincible season, and around that time when we played the best counter-attacking football on the planet. And last night we did the same thing, and I think, was it 4 or 5 times, Theo just got through on them. Neuer pulled out the save of his life with the last inch of his fingers. A couple of times that Theo put it wide, and that other players got in his way. But you could see in the second half that they weren't going to carry on doing that, because they were just getting absolutely ruined. And every time they attacked us, like you were saying, Koscielny and Mertesacker were absolutely brilliant. Coquelin was in, and I mean, at one point I made notes of the game so that I would remember what's going on. And Coquelin gets the ball, he takes the ball, and he redistributes the ball. He just did that a few times, just absolutely fantastic. But surprisingly, Cazorla got man of the match with an 8.3. And then our next highest player was Cech with 8.1 and Ozil with 8. I really enjoyed the game. It was really nice to see that everybody goes on about that Guardiola is the world's greatest tactician, and that people are so quick to give Wenger grief. Wenger out-tacticalised him.
Jesus.
And there's a new word to the English language.
Oh, I'm all about a lexicon. So he did him, because we put so much pressure on their defence with Walcott breaking free that they went and took off probably 2 of the best central midfielders in the world. Definitely with Alonso and Vidal. I mean, the first half, I think Vidal at Bayern is a different Vidal than he was at Juventus, because he was more holding, more defensive at times there. But I think here he's been given the role to get forward, and the play between Vidal and Costa in the first half was fantastic at times. That Costa, how the hell no one else has picked him up before? He could be just a half-season wonder, but he was fantastic last night. Lewandowski didn't get much of a touch of the ball, and I don't know what was going on with Muller. Muller got a 6.2. Only Alba got a lower rating than he did with 5.3. The Bayern centre back. So I was just so impressed with that. They were thinking second half, to go and take off 2 world-class players and then bring on a fullback and move Lahm from right back to a more holding midfield place. That just showed that he had no confidence in those two, and that Wenger's tactics was just working superbly. It's just really nice to see that Wenger can change his tactics, and Cech was just outstanding. I'm going to make a bit of a statement here, and I may shoot me down if you want, but I reckon Cech should start every game. I think he's not a bad goalkeeper. What do you think?
You know my thoughts on Ospina, so yeah, of course I agree with you.
I wonder who will start the next game at Bayern Munich. I mean, will it be Cech or will Ospina come back in if he's not injured?
It's going to have to be Cech, innit? Come on.
I know we all want Cech to be goalkeeper, but I mean, there is some sort of policy, isn't there?
I don't think it's a policy.
Fuck policy, yeah? Seriously, if there was any kind of verbal agreement that he has made to play that fella, then he needs to fucking tear up his verbal agreement and chuck it in the bin.
Arsene Wenger, whether you like it or not, is actually quite an honourable person when it comes to making promises and stuff, and he sticks to them. We know that in the FA Cup. I know the Champions League is a bigger competition, and the next game is absolutely massive for us. But I do wonder out aloud, if Ospina is fit, will he play?
No, bollocks. He'll play him next week, and then he can wait till fucking January and play in the FA Cup.
I'm not being funny. If fucking David Ospina's anywhere near that pitch, I'm going to steal his car again. I'm having that Mercedes again. It wasn't me, by the way. Let's be honest, boys. He's not going to give anybody a verbal agreement on the Champions League, is he? He made you for the FA Cup, but not for the
That's
Champions.
how he got him to stay, because he was meant to be off to Galatasaray.
It's all rumour. It's all rumour.
Yeah, we know nothing, do we? Because don't give that information out.
No, let's be fair.
Let's hope the next manager we get then knows how to tell a few lies.
We had one that told a few too many lies before.
Yeah, brown envelopes everywhere. Yeah, no, boys.
Maybe Wenger can tell Ospina he didn't see the verbal agreement.
Wasn't it nice to actually? We were done by the fifth, sixth, or 12th official, whatever bloody number they give them. We were done by them last time when they What happened last time with the fifth official? Was it
David Ospina threw the ball into his own goal, didn't he?
Right. There was all that uproar about that when it was actually Ospina's fault. And this time, when it looked like there was a handball to put our ball in, the Arsenal fans aren't going mad asking for justice there. They ain't starting up Twitter campaigns, are they? And then with the other goal, it could so easily have not been given at our second goal. But it was given, and we're not going, it's a little bit of give and take, is it? And they'll be going mental about it. If they wouldn't given that, and they'd have ruled the first one off for handball, they'd be shitting kittens, wouldn't they?
We're so quick to piss and whinge about referees and stuff.
Yep.
In the end, it balances out. In the end,
let's be fair. We've had enough bad decisions against Bayern. It was nice to see a couple go away, and it was fantastic. Ozil's goal, lads. Very calm of him. What do you think?
Bellerin's brilliant.
Yeah, stunning.
Yeah, it was superb. I mean, the way he won the ball in midfield, attacked the line. We want to see a bit more of that from Kieran Gibbs, to be fair, when he gets his chances. But
he won't get much of a chance. He won't get a chance. I tell you what, we've got 2 quality fullbacks at the moment.
Yeah,
and they're racing down on either side.
Best pair of fullbacks in the league.
Yeah, Mark's right. That was a learning. Hector, that was a learning lesson for him in that first half against Costa. Mark's spot on there. He will learn so much in that 45 minutes than 90 minutes against Watford, but he's going to be world class sooner or later. And I did kind of speculate earlier this week about whether Barcelona will come sniffing, but I've been told that Barcelona are not interested. So
Barcelona aren't interested.
No, they've got 2 right backs already groomed and ready. So and they've had their fingers burnt by the Cesc disaster.
We'll still have a moment to think about the situation.
Seriously, they're not interested in bringing back players that have left the club to go to another country and stuff. So
can I just ask one question about that Ozil's goal? And this is not I'm not being critical of Ozil at all, but I have been a little bit critical of Theo for not putting that header in the corner where Neuer couldn't get to it. Would you not suggest that Ozil should have made sure that the ball just was in the back of the net before Neuer could do anything about it, rather than give the guy a chance to claw it out? Because I mean, there's no goal line technology. Neuer's body's between the ball and the fifth official. So if it weren't for Harry Potter waving his wand, we might not have got that goal. So we might have spent another minute, worrying. So should Ozil not have actually buried it? A player of his class.
Possibly, but I tell you what, you're kind of doing Neuer a bit of a disservice. I mean, that first half save was unbelievable. And yes, I mean, I was up off my seat. I thought Theo was going to score. And that second save, I mean, he got his hand to it. But if you kind of watch it slow motion, he's anticipated it about 2 seconds before bloody Ozil's hit it. He's a class goalkeeper, and you got to give him plaudits, even though it was a goal. You got to give him plaudits for getting a hand to it. So maybe a bit harsh there, Mark.
Talking about the should
typical Mark
having a more accurate shot. Just think of the uproar if that Ozil, they wouldn't have seen it as going over the line for Ozil. Just think the amount of grief that the Ox would have got for trying to kill someone in row triple Z when he was three inches out and he put it over. Just think,
that's the reason why I don't think he should play on Saturday.
I don't think you've got a point because you do say I've always said that Theo is never going to play as a right midfielder again. But when you play in that position, you're not really a right midfielder, are you? You're like an outside right from the old days. So maybe Theo will say to Theo, look, we really do need someone out on the right hand side who can get past players. Because as much as I love the Ox, I was saying to Jason before this started that most Arsenal players that have been there have been out on loan. Now the Ox hasn't been lucky enough to go out on loan. He was playing in the third tier of English football with Southampton. Before he signed for Arsenal, he was about 16 by the time he signed, so he hasn't really had a good run of first-team football, and that's what he needs. But when we're at the stage we are at, where the whole league is falling apart and all the Man City's players all their best players are not playing, this is our chance. We can't really use those games as a chance for the Ox to try and refine his game. We really do need to. I said on the radio show yesterday that I don't want to see Theo there, but now the more I think about it, the more I think we need someone who can do the job, who's going to play there and do it, rather than give the Ox a chance.
We can't afford to lose against Everton, can we? You know, no. I mean, we've just put in two cracking performances. The Ox came on 57 minutes for
Ramsey. 3, Jace, including Man United.
Yeah, but when he came on 57 minutes into the game, you know, everybody wants him to take his chance. Everybody's behind this boy. He's not disliked. You know, we want him to do well.
You want about the Ox?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody loves the Ox, yeah.
But, you know, he's made one fantastic little run to the edge of the box, and then he's screwed the pass. You know, now...
He lacks finesse, doesn't he? Like, he's one of those players who's got all the ability in the world. He runs at players. He frightens fullbacks. He's got a scary amount of pace, power. But when it comes to, you know, simple finishing or that final through ball, it's just so rash and it's just so un-Arsenal, and it's one of the most annoying things watching him play, because you want him to do well and you're wishing him the best, but, you know, time and time again, he just doesn't have that clinical ability to he doesn't have that end product, does he? He's just not quite Arsenal. Not yet, anyway.
And the shame is, he's an intelligent boy, isn't he, Mark?
Yeah, I worry a little bit about his confidence. To me, he looks like a player who needs to be confident. And lately, you know, he had a good start to the season, and we were all looking forward to him playing. And then, you know, he didn't do a great job with the West Ham goal that we let in, and he's given the ball away a few other times, and people always go on about the mistake he made at Monaco, forgetting all about the bloody great goal he scored to get us back in it. And I think that the one of the differences between him and Ramsey is that Ramsey has bags of confidence. He always wants the ball. He never hides, and when he went through that dodgy time in the team when he was being played out wide originally, he was getting pelters and he came through it. With Ox, I'm worried that now he's going to get that run of games. If he's not playing well and people start getting on his back, I worry that he's the sort of lad who looks like his head might drop a bit from it. You know, and then that'll just become a spiral of negativity, as it were, if anyone would ever use that kind of a phrase.
But how much are we going to miss Ramsey then over the next few weeks? 5?
I think we'll miss him. We'll certainly miss Ramsey. I mean, Ramsey, we saw it against Watford, we saw it against Bayern Munich. You saw that he's, as you said, he's full of confidence. He's the kind of guy who can drift inside the field, and he, you know, with Hector Bellerin, who's very, you know, competent and pacey. Ramsey's the kind of guy who's naturally in, you know, a central midfield. He wants to come in. He wants to create from the channels. Chamber likes, you know, he hugs the touchline. He's full of pace and full of skill. But Ramsey can dictate games, and that's something you can't say about Chamberlain. You know, Ramsey can grab a game by the scruff of the neck. Go down, we could be 1-0 up. You know, you can move him in there, and he's going to make a difference. He's a game changer. And at the minute, you can't say that about Chamberlain. But now that we've got Chamberlain on the right, it gives us a chance to break it up a little bit. We can now start to maybe try out and play with a little bit more natural width, I think. With Ramsey in the team on the right, you do have that kind of limitation sometimes. You're not going to press the left back as much as what you would when Theo or Chamberlain's playing. So maybe it gives us a chance to play to a new advantage. Maybe we can now mix it up. Maybe we can now use, play on the front foot with Bayer in and with Chamber down the right, and it gives us a chance to keep it fresh. I think Ramsey's done a fantastic job. He was magnificent against Man United a couple of weeks ago, despite some of the criticism he got. But this gives us a chance to keep it fresh and try something new. And I think Chamberlain's going to be, with a string of games, gets his head down. He's the kind of kid who's going to settle back into it, I think. But as you said, he's the kind of kid that probably needs a run of games as well. And all this stop-start is not going to help him. So let's hope he makes the most of it.
But you mentioned something there, Andrew, and I don't know what you guys think, but people giving our players stick because obviously they got favourites elsewhere, etc. We've spoken about when Rambo had the tough time, he's getting pelters at the ground. Now's the time. We're on a bit of good form. It's time for the crowd to get behind the boys. It's time for them to get behind the Ox and really, try to help them through. You talk about Theo. Theo had a tough night in front of goal on Tuesday night. He should have put away that header, to be fair. But his pace scared the living daylights out of Bayern. And I think his pace was a major part of the reason we won that game because, they were terrified of what he could do to them. So, it's one of those things where we've really got to, as you mentioned earlier, Andrew, be the 12th man. It happens in the away games because that's the characters. Now, the Emirates has to become the 12th man. Can you see that happening? Somebody go.
It's just tough though at home. It's, when you got away fans, they're kind of a regular mob that go away games, and the demographic of the home crowd changes week to week. I know there's 30,000 regulars there, but the other 30,000 could be just one-off day trippers and tourists and corporates and all that. So it's a lot harder. I think Red Action do a brilliant job in trying to get that atmosphere going, but they can't do it every single game. I said it a million times. It is really down to the fans in the end to make that noise. But I just think it's a bit harder at home. Mark, do you agree with that, or am I completely wrong?
No, you're spot on. This all goes back to Highbury. When we were at Highbury, all the season ticket holders moved to the Emirates, and most of them all would have sat together with their mates, the same as they were at Highbury in the same places. But obviously, then they're diluted in a much bigger stadium.
Yeah.
And then new people come along, and you start making new friendships. Now, let's not forget that's 10 years ago. So all them season ticket holders like me, they're all 10 years older, and I know some of my mates who are the same age as me now. They don't go away games. They don't make the kind of noise that I'll make, for whatever reason. I don't know why, but they don't. So the core of our... Because they what?
They don't boo their own team?
Twats. What happens then is that you've got the core away support who have all kind of got into that because they probably, they couldn't get a season ticket at Emirates, maybe. And maybe they couldn't afford the tickets, but they could afford to go to the away games. So you've got a real core of away fans. But the ones that do go to the home games, and believe you me, there's plenty of our away support that never go to the Emirates. But the ones that do, they're all over the stadium.
Yeah.
So how can they ever kind of manage to generate it? It's just impossible until we do something to rearrange that and to get actually to bite the bullet. And turn around and start saying in some blocks to certain season ticket holders, you know what, we're making this a singing section. If you don't like it, we're going to move you to somewhere else in the ground that's comparable to where you are now. If you do want to stay, stay. But believe you me, you're going to have to stand up most of the time and you're going to have to fucking sing. And if you don't like it, fuck off. So until we bite the bullet and do that, we can't really improve it. And the problem is the club really interested in taking that chance? I'm not convinced that they are.
You should try giving your views to our dear chairman, Sir John Chippingdale Linley Keswick, who actually thanked the shareholder who stood up and told him that any fan who stands up in the North Bank should be prohibited, which was incredible. But I do agree. I think there's some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be thrown out. Anyone who sings or makes any noise above a certain decibel should be kicked. We can't have that behaviour in football. but there's that that thing about age, I guess, where it comes into the whole. I know we're going to talk about prices of tickets later and Bayern Munich's pricing. But, we're pricing out younger fans, and fundamentally, I think it was there was a good report in the Daily Mail a couple of years ago showing just the average age of a football fan these days compared to 10, 15 years ago. The average age of the Emirates is, and no disrespect to all you boys, because I know you're all pushing on, but it's, you're looking at, 45, 50.
You're a tit.
Young bloods. Well, no, but they're not. But they're not. The young blood and the young fans aren't getting in the way they used to, are they?
It's a valid point.
It's
a very valid point.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
No, it is. But I mean, one of the things, okay, you saw the effort on the pitch on Tuesday night. It was a fantastic effort by the boys, and the one thing that really came through was the atmosphere in the ground. It was fabulous, I mean, the singing was there. A lot of it was, the Bayern fans' first 15 minutes and what have you, coming back in after protest. But, as soon as Arsenal, after the first 20 minutes, started coming back into the game, you could feel the fans behind them. You could really, really, it was palpable. You could touch it. You could feel that support, and it was a fabulous thing. But I think Andrew's got a very fair point on younger fans. Gone are the days where I know Gav used to speak about it a lot. You'd go there, you'd be looked after by the older lads, and stuff like that. It doesn't happen anymore. It's crazy. Back to the game, boys. Back to the game. Petr Cech, fabulous performance. One hell of it's a couple of great saves, but in particular the one from Lewandowski. Just how good is he?
Stunning. Well, he's got to be one of the most informed goalkeepers on the planet to have kept it. If you'd have said to us a little while ago, we're going to beat Bayern Munich 2-0 at home and we're going to beat Man United 3-0 at home and then we're going to go away and beat Watford 3-0, you'd probably have taken the Watford and gone, yeah, that's okay. But those other two, to keep a clean sheet against, Man United aren't the team that they used to. The Scousers are 1-0 down, by the way.
It's a shame, isn't it?
The clop out, that's what I say. It's rubbish. But to do that against Bayern Munich, it's not as if like they didn't have any shots on goal either. I'm just looking here; they had 20 shots on goal, and all those 20, 7 were blocked by Cech. For a goalie to block 7, at 33. Well, I wish I could still move the way he does.
But 11 of those shots are from outside of the box as well. You can see the way the defence and Cech have worked together.
Yeah.
11 shots from outside of the box and only 7 or whatever it is inside the box. It's a fantastic defensive effort. But he seems to be the gel that's holding us together.
This is brilliant. It's just a joy to watch. I was thinking when I was watching it, the last time that I felt that secure with having someone in goal as good as him, because we've had the likes of Szczesny, who you could probably turn around and look to see whether he's in goal, and you see he's running down the right wing with the ball, and you're thinking, oh, for fuck's sake, you mental case. Or then you have someone like Almunia, who you look behind you, and he's probably facing the goalpost, licking it, and you're going, oh, what are you doing, you mong? And then his tongue gets stuck. But Cech is right up there already with Seaman and Lehmann. Lehmann was a little bit of a mental case, but he'd kill someone if he had to. The kind of mental secureness that it gives our defenders, the fact that they don't have to worry about what's going on behind them, that Cech's going to go, just fucking you go and defend and I'll do my job and you don't have to worry about me. That is just showing so much this season, because already we've got the best defence in the league. We've only conceded 7 goals, and the only other team to concede, there's some scum from up the road a little bit, so maybe that means absolutely nothing. But even Man City, with all their billions of pounds, they've conceded 8 goals, and Man United have conceded 8. It just must be so reassuring for the defenders to know they can just carry on, just worry about defending, and that's all they're doing. And Mertesacker is just so good. He's so calm and so placed, and then it's like the old days where you had one bloke who used to do defending like Tony Adams, and you'd have one player that would get forward a little bit like Sol Campbell, which would be the Koscielny bloke, and everything would just get in so many correlations with our great teams. You go, well, like I just said, those players remind me of this, and that reminds me of this. Our fullbacks, we've got 4 of the best fullbacks in the country. We've got 2 of the best centre backs on the planet, and we've got one of the best goalkeepers playing football at the moment. And then with Ozil and Sanchez and Theo and all this stuff, it's all falling together brilliantly. And Man City falling apart. It's just, I really am starting to believe that as long as we don't do any more stuff like we did against West Ham, we really can do something this season in the Premier League. I don't care about Europe.
Do we want to come third in the Champions League, or do we? My opinion is that we need to qualify into the next stage or come fourth. Is that controversial, or is it something that you all?
I agree with you 100%. We don't want to be in the UEFA Cup. I mean, we'll have to move the podcast from a Thursday, and everybody knows Thursday is Spurs Day, so I don't want to move it. But there's no point us being in it because it's just going to be the amount of time and the travelling. It means all of our league games are now going to be on a Sunday, which a lot of the fans aren't going to want, are they? I mean, I don't go anymore, but I know when I used to like going on a Sunday because it means whenever I used to get someone to come with me, that most people were not working on a Sunday. But you lot who are used to going on Saturdays, would you be annoyed at Sunday games every game?
Well, can I just make a point on that? Yeah, because this has gone on. I mean, Sunday games. If you're playing anyone decent, you normally end up on a Sunday game anyway. To be fair, so I don't really see that it makes that much difference. But since when did the UEFA Cup become such a shit competition to win? I mean, I've seen people really ridiculing. Somebody ridiculed the 70 Fairs Cup win last week, and then this week somebody said the game where we beat Barcelona 2-1 would be better than winning the Europa League. Now, to me, I don't understand it, because the other thing is when we win the FA Cup and we don't win the fucking Premier League, people go, oh well, there's only three cups to win, so it doesn't matter winning the second one when it ain't the Premier League. But all of a sudden, because it's not the Champions League, it's some shit trophy.
That's not why I'm saying it.
Mark,
I say it because I don't want to play on a Thursday.
Sorry, Mark, I'm going to ask Mark a couple of questions. Okay. Mark, do you think we have a chance of winning the Premier League this season? A decent chance?
I think we're in with a decent shout, yes.
But do you think that is diluted if we go into the Europa League, or do you think we've still got the same chance?
I think it might be. It would be diluted. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because that's the only argument I'm using. It's not about not winning the cup. It's about travelling back from Kazakhstan on a Thursday night.
Say we finish second in the group, yeah, and we get some shit team like Monaco that we'll obviously beat in the first knockout round, yeah. So then we get through and we're into the quarterfinals. Yeah, that was a bit of a joke there, Andrew. I'll try and explain it for you later. That's already, you've played another 2 or 4 games there. So, and I mean, we can't guarantee we're still going to go all the way in the Premier League, but I think we are definitely in with a really good chance. But then I tell you, do you know what? Fuck the FA Cup off. Yeah, don't play the FA Cup matches.
But boys,
yeah?
Sorry, lads.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but would you not like to go to? I think it's in Switzerland, isn't it, this year in Basel? Would you not like to go to Basel and watch Arsenal win the UEFA Cup? I don't know.
It's the number of games you've got to play, though, isn't it? It's not like it's like the old days, home and away.
We've played 65 games in the past. This is not the same football. This is not the same as then. These guys are playing on fucking carpets. They're being ferried around in luxury. Yeah, they're being paid fucking £150,000 a week, and we can't ask them to play in the Europa League and the fucking Premier League at the same time.
And another thing, boys. Yeah, but hold up, yeah. Another thing, boys. Okay, we're supposed to be a big club. We're supposed to be a big club, competes on all fronts. Okay, it's not who gives a fuck.
We haven't got a squad big enough to compete on all fronts.
We've got a squad big enough.
We've got Matthew Flamini.
Yeah, we got Matt Flam. He'll win this UEFA Cup. It doesn't matter. But you fucking compete, boys. Sport's about competing. I've had enough of people pissing and moaning. Oh, we don't want to be here. We don't want to be there. Where the fuck do we want to be? We want to be on the football pitch. We want to be on the football pitch.
I want to win the Premier League, and I think that if we go into the Europa League, which I'd be more than happy to win if we're in the Europa League, I'd still be wanting us to win the thing.
9 games to win it if we get in it at the next round.
I think we've got a better chance of winning the Premier League if we're not in the Europa League. That is my only point. I'm not saying I don't want to win trophies, because I wake up every day on the day of a match, including Bayern Munich, and I can prove that. And my heart rules my brain, and I always think we're going to win every game we play. So don't ever question my faith in the team.
I'm not questioning faith in the team.
What I'm saying is, I'm putting an argument forward saying that we have got a greater chance of winning the Premier League if we're not in the Europa Cup. If we do have to play extra games, I would rather play those extra games in the Champions League and qualify. So qualify for the
So one question then, Raj. If you felt we were good enough to win the Champions League, would you happily play the Premier League and the Champions League at the same time? Or would you say we'd have to sacrifice one for the other?
I think we'd have to sacrifice one for the other.
See, I'd go a little bit further and say
we've got a seriously good chance of winning the Premier League this year.
Yeah, that's it.
I just wonder whether the number of games we might have to play, depending on what scenario happens over the next 4 or 5 weeks, will affect the chances, because we don't have that depth in squad. We might have loads of players on paper, but some of them have hardly played a game this season, and you can't trust them to cover your regulars. That's all I'm saying.
They'll all be like a new signing.
See, my point is, Mark, I want us out of the Champions League, the UEFA Cup, the FA Cup and the League Cup. I want us all out of those competitions, and I want us out of them now, because then we can concentrate on the Premier League, and then we're playing every Saturday, and that's all I want. I don't want to play, I see the UEFA Cup and the Champions League as the same thing, and a boring competition that I don't want to be in until you get to the quarterfinals, and that's the only time that competition becomes of any interest to me. I hate it. If it was back in the old format,
Bayern Munich.
I know there's usually one game, one decent group game or team to play in the group, and that's it. Do you want to play against Kiev and Olympiacos? They're dog shit games. I don't give a fuck about it.
We played against Olympiacos, we lost.
I know, so I don't want to play those games. I've hated the Champions League games as far back as I can remember. They're just boring games. I'd much rather watch Arsenal play a Premier League game against any Premier League team than watch us play a Champions League or UEFA Cup game. So I want us at that competition, because how often are you going to have a Premier League season as open as it is now? So I don't want all of our players, however many we've got injured or playing or in form, I don't want them wasting their time in the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Champions League or the UEFA Cup. Fuck it all. All I want is the Premier League, because I'd rather be Premier League champions than win the Champions League, because I don't give a fuck about the Champions League.
The likes of Sanchez and Ozil and Cech and Caffola aren't going to come to a team like Arsenal if they think we don't take the Champions League seriously.
But we're
not going to get anyone good in the summer if we don't put our best team out in the Champions League and we don't compete for it because we want to try and go for the Premier League. We're just not going to attract big players next summer, are we?
Well, so if you said that we got knocked out, if we finished fourth and then we're not in it, and then we go ahead and we win the Premier League, I can't, because if we go and play the UEFA Cup, that's 9 games we'd have to play to win it.
We'd have to play 7 to win the Champions League.
Yeah, I don't want to be in the Champions League either. I'd rather us get knocked out than get through to any of them, because you watch it, when it comes to May and with Premier League champions, look, the example is Liverpool. They were brilliant when they weren't playing in the Champions League, and they nearly won the league. And if a shit club like that can nearly win the league, think how good we would be.
A shit club with Suarez.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, a shit club with one decent player.
Let's listen straight.
We would have won the league that year if we had Suarez.
You may be the Nigel Farage of the Bergkamp Wonderland, okay, pal? But it's important. It's an important competition.
Oh, yeah, I voted Lib Dem. How dare you?
Fuck yeah. Anyways, back to Bayern Munich.
Yes.
One of our greatest European wins ever, lads?
Gonna be, yeah.
No, not really. It was a great
how
win.
good they are, though. They've played 15 games this season. They'd won all 15 and scored 40 goals.
They were due a beating.
Yes.
They were due a beating, and we did really, really well to win. I wouldn't say it's one of our greatest European wins, but it certainly was a fantastic win, and I'm not going to take anything away from them. I thought it was brilliant, but I kind of half expected it in some ways, as I said earlier on.
Yeah.
I think Bayern Munich haven't been tested at all this season, and this is the first time they've come against decent opposition, and it happened to be Champions League.
You predicted a win. I predicted a win. Fife predicted a win.
I said lose 9-0.
Yeah. Mark.
Dom said 9-0.
Mark
5-0.
Mark was positive about it. You know, I mean, it seems there was a lot of goodwill going into the game, and the boys delivered. So, you know, what a great night for us. What a great night for the club.
Before, though. I remember I was there at Highbury and beat them 1-0 in 05.
Not this team. This is a special team.
Oh, they were a rubbish team. Now they've got some of the best players in the world. But I would put this down. When you, pound for pound, as these people say, that is one of the best teams in the world, and we beat them at home convincingly.
Yeah, that's it.
So I would say it's definitely got to be in one of the top 10 European games in Wenger's era that we've actually gone there, and we beat them convincingly. They were absolutely humiliated, and their master tactician was shown how to do the game by the old dog.
Mind you,
sly old dog.
27% possession.
Did you know that in our stats, the only game this season we've had as lower possession as that was against Man United. We had 40%. Every other game we've got 50, 60, 70% possession, and that is also the least number of passes we had. 313 against Man United, 207 last night out of 278. And that is that normally we're getting 5, 6, 7. Sometimes we've had 900 passes in a game. So it seems that maybe the new way to do it is sit back, take the pressure, get him on the break. It worked for us throughout most of the early noughties.
Yeah.
I think you can afford to, when you've got a world-class goalkeeper, in goal like Cech, you can afford to do that because he's the kind of goalkeeper who will do his thing, and it will allow you to win big games. He does what he needs to do to keep you in the big games, so you can then go on and win them later on. So we can.
Your charger plugged in again?
Do I? How's that?
No, is your phone near your laptop? We'll have complaints from the listeners. You know what they're like? They're a fickle bunch.
Oh, not as fickle as you.
Oi, easy, Tiger.
He's on Tinder at the moment, isn't he?
Oh, Jesus.
Tinder.
The Tinder King.
The sausage monster.
I'm monogamous.
No.
Oh, Jesus. Let's go back to the Giroud goal. Just minutes before we had a corner, and Santi Cazorla once again hits the first man.
It was a bit worrying, wasn't it?
Not again. And sorry, go on.
Do you dislike Cazorla?
No, don't dislike him. I don't dislike him at all. I like him.
Performances when he should. He's capable of much better. Exactly,
and yet the free kick that he puts in for Giroud to get on the end of was magnificent. It was perfect, and there you go. Was that down to the execution of the boys, or was it down to Neuer's mistake?
No, it was Neuer's mistake. It was a game of two goalkeepers up until that point. I thought that they both had brilliant games. But it was definitely a mistake by Neuer coming out and missing it. And Giroud palmed it in. That's it. 1-0.
He spanked the monkey, didn't he? Put it in the back of the net. Fantastic.
Naughty monkey.
Ozil. Who wants to talk about Ozil? I thought he was quite magnificent on Tuesday night. Somebody elaborate.
I'm just busy getting questions from Twitter. If there's anybody listening on Twitter, don't send me questions now because it's finished.
For fuck's sake. Mark.
Yes, mate.
Come on, talk about Ozil.
I think Ozil last night, he kind of showed, he really exemplified what he is to me. And he's not someone who is going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, beat 7 players and bang it top bins. He's like the ultimate piece of a jigsaw. And it's exactly what he does for the German team. They don't sort of trust him with the same role that we do, play him in the hole. They stick him out wide because they don't trust him in terms of keeping the ball or not losing the ball, so giving away transitions in that position. So they put him out wide. And he is the perfect part for that German team, whereby they all work together and they complement each other. And I just think that now we are so very close to having this jigsaw finished that it's just so frustrating. You can feel it, you can smell it, you can taste it, but I just think the one thing that is missing is the striker that Özil will feed, that will score goals. And I know it's silly to say it when we've won 2-0 the other night, but that will score goals in the games like that where you really need someone to finish the 1 or 2 chances you might get in that game. Surprisingly, that was quite an open game the other night, but that's generally because both teams are quite attacking teams. But, other games, it's going to be very, very tight. And I'm not convinced that Theo will be the player that will actually finish those. If you put Luis Suarez in this team, we'd win the fucking league, the Champions League, a Nobel Prize, X Factor,
the Rugby World Cup,
British Bake Off. We'd win the lot because the only thing is Özil's just missing that little extra bit of quality in front of him, I think. But he was great, and it was wonderful to see him in that last sort of 10-15 minutes. How he kept going, and he was he tried to really sort of use his skill to keep the ball away from them and to keep the ball with us. And I thought he was great last night. He was superb. I wouldn't say he was man of the match, but I thought he was superb.
Brilliant, brilliant. Andrew, that's enough of the game. On Tuesday night, we did have another bit of an event at the Emirates where the Bayern fans protested regarding ticket prices. Before I go to the other guys, what was your view on that?
I think it was a very well demonstrated protest by the Bayern Munich fans. I think people for a long time now have been saying, the only way we're gonna have any effect on the outcome of ticketing, on the ticketing issue, and just the gargantuan amount of revenue clubs are making at the expense of the working fan is by making a stance in the stadium. Now I know Arsenal fans have had banners and have done such things, and we've had the Use Bern, We Spend protest, and we've tried, kind of some form of visualisation within the ground.
Use Bern, We Spend protest.
That was not a protest.
That was not. I know that was a one-man band, but in terms of trying to have some form of visualisation in the ground, there's never been much take-up, is there? You're going to have something like an empty stadium. Now I know they only did it for 5-10 minutes, and why would you miss any more when you've come to watch the Arsenal? They certainly got their 64 quid's worth from that from the Giroud goal, that's for sure. But fair play to them. They've gone out of their way to orchestrate that, and those images there's going to be seen all around the world, in front of millions of people on the big stage. Unfortunately, from a perspective, I can't say anything because I was in the ground and I was in my seat long before kickoff. But it's only a shame that they didn't stay there for that little bit longer from their perspective. It was it's fantastic to see, and more clubs need to get together and to unite on this subject. And there has to be more visual protest within the ground, behind the goal. It's going to be picked up on the cameras, and it's the only way that it's going to start. The sponsors are going to, and the sponsors groups are going to pick up on this, and they're going to start to lobby against, the powers that be. And until we get more of this, we're not going to see, the kind of action we want. How much effort the fans are putting in at the minute.
Okay, cool. Mark, I want to bring you in on this. With the biggest football deal ever coming into the Premier League next year, what's your take on this, mate?
Well, it's funny enough. It's two points I wanted to make on this, and the first one is I was really pleased that the Bayern fans done it. I mean, they're the biggest club in Germany, one of the richest clubs in Germany, and they do keep football reasonably affordable out there. And there's various reasons for it. We know that a lot of them are state funded, the stadiums and stuff like that. So they have got some more excuses than we have, but. I was really pleased they'd done it, and I was glad that it was a good enough section that you could see it being done, because I was interested to see how it would work with their, this was maybe just one group of them. But the thing that got me about it, and it kind of wound me up a bit, was when they came in and there was this spontaneous round of applause that broke out from the majority of the crowd.
Yeah.
Now, I can only assume that this was... the people, the Arsenal fans at Emirates taking pity on these poor, German fans from their ruined economy who've, probably travelled day and night and walked through the Eurotunnel to get to London to watch this game, and that was why they applauded. Because I can't think of any other reason for them all being a bunch of fucking hypocrites, yeah? Because when the fan groups at Arsenal try to do anything to say about... the price of the matches is too much, and that £64 for the cheapest ticket at certain games is too much, and we organise a protest and you put it out there and all the fan groups are saying that it's happening and you get to doing it, and who turns up? Yeah, not enough people. Where are they? They're probably standing in the fucking pub because they can't be asked to come and show some solidarity. Now I know there's a lot of problems whereby people get very, very confused sometimes about the connection between anyone who's protesting about the ticket prices and connecting it with it being Wenger out. Everyone knows my opinion on that, but they're two very separate things, as it is with anyone who turns up to protest about the tickets. You can be Wenger in, you can be Wenger out, you can be Wenger shake it all about. It doesn't matter. What you're protesting about is the price of the tickets, which is a piss take, and they will continue to take the piss out of us, and we will continue to be hammered on the prices. And we moved to this stadium, yeah, so that we wouldn't have to rely on match day income, and it hasn't happened. And we moved to this stadium and we were promised £10 tickets, and unless it's a League Cup match at home, it doesn't happen. So, you know, we're getting caned. Yeah, and we ask people to come along and turn up. It's a peaceful protest at the ground. If you're going to the ground to the game, or you're going to go and have a drink in the pub beforehand, come along and show some solidarity to protest and say ticket prices, enough is enough. But no, you'd rather stay in the pub and have another pint and just not bother, and then give us a load of abuse and take the piss out of us. Well, that to me is wrong. Yeah, so all of you, great, brilliant, stand up and applaud the Bayern fans, and then take the piss out of your own fans who are trying to get cheaper tickets for everyone at the club. Yeah, but we're obviously muggy Wenger idiots. Yeah, but we must be for bothering, to be perfectly honest. Rant over.
Yeah, you bunch of cunts.
Oh, Jesus! I sympathise. I've got to be honest. I think going to football now is just—it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous the money they spend, and if people mixed a bit more, maybe there wouldn't be all this sort of confusion and arguing, etc. You know, something needs to happen with it. So there we go.
It's not.
Right.
Oh, hold on. We haven't finished this one yet. I'm going to ask a question to Mark. Actually, I'm 100% support what you just said. Brilliant little rant there. But I've always had a growing feeling over the last 12 months, 18 months, that most Arsenal fans are quite happy with the ticket prices, as evidenced recently on Twitter. A lot of big accounts saying they're quite happy to pay £64. So that kind of is a bit depressing, don't you think?
Well, I suppose the issue is that you'll get a lot of people who will say that if you're a season ticket holder, you balance it out over the cost of the possible 26 games. So the cheapest season ticket over 26 games is probably around about £40. Now, when you look at that and you go, this is one of the best stadiums in the country in terms of facilities. You're watching one of the best football teams in Europe playing football every home game. You know, I can understand that some people will go, oh, you know what, yeah, 40 quid, it's not too bad. But the point of that is that they've done some good work in making prices cheaper for the games that they consider to be Category C games. So if you want to go and watch Bournemouth at home, you're going to pay £27. £27, I think that's fair enough for a ticket to a Premier League game. But why is it £64 to watch us play Man City? Are you going to say, oh, it's because Man City is so much better quality and you're seeing Touré and Aguero? I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. The problem is that the prices are too high when you consider how much money they've got. This next TV deal that kicks in at the start of next season for 3 years is worth £8 once they've factored in the overseas rights. £8 billion. £8 fucking billion. And yet they can't. You know, we should bow down and thank them if they don't put the prices up next year or the year after. You know, we should bow down and thank them if they don't put another 3% rise on to pay for Stan's £3 million that he's taken again. Yeah, so there is so much apathy, and then you'll get the supply and demand economic side of it as well. Well, if the club are like that, they can just keep going, keep putting the prices up, and eventually most of us will stop going until they get to a point where, you know, there's 60,000 people who can afford to go, and then they won't push it any further. But this is football. This is football. Yeah, this is the fucking game would not exist in reality without the people who go and watch it. It'd be 22 blokes kicking a ball around in an empty stadium. And the fans are the people that are not getting anything out of this other than the entertainment that they get. And then, you know, you balance that with the fact you go and watch your team lose at home to fucking Olympiacos. So the price of the tickets is too high when you consider how much money is going into the game, and that these clubs could actually, if they don't, they'll lose the away fans for a start, because they're the ones that are getting the piss taken out of the most. And without the away fans, there'll be fuck all atmosphere at a lot of games. And then they need to sort something about ticket pricing in general.
To put it in perspective, I think it's under £100 or around the £100 mark for a season ticket at Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Real Madrid. Now, those are the biggest clubs in the world, aren't they? You know, so it's one of those things. Has anybody got anything else to add?
We were talking on the radio show the other day, I think me, Chris and John, and one of John's mates, John Welsh, was saying that, I think it was John's, saying that he used to be, I'm sure he said on a season ticket holder at Arsenal. He now doesn't go. He drives to the airport, gets on a plane, flies to Germany, goes to watch Werder Bremen, then gets back on the plane and comes home. He said it's quicker and cheaper and more fun. He said that's just modern football in England is killed by the number of people who go that know fuck all about football. I know I'm quite harsh and I say there's so many morons there that know fuck all about football. When you first go, like I remember my first ever game against Spurs in '87, I spent most of the time watching the crowd and listening to what was going on. I spent very little time watching the what was going on the pitch, which I don't remember much about my first game. But these people will then jump on Twitter or Facebook and start slagging off the players of which they know nothing about football. And there's far too much of that going on. And if they lower the prices, then maybe the people who know more about football, which is something you get with age, like anything in life, and then the atmosphere would be better because you wouldn't have a load of people sat there on their fucking iPads playing games and just being general twats, ruining it for everybody else. I mean, when my local team in League One, Peterborough United, are charging £26 a ticket, I wouldn't pay £26 a ticket to go and watch Arsenal play, let alone them. It's ridiculous. And more needs to be made of the fact that when the Premier League wants money, or the UEFA Cup, or the Champions League, or the clubs, or the players, who's the one who pay for it? We are the fans who pay for it. And they don't seem to realise that. So we're getting, look how much money we're paying for Sky TV and BT. Sky Sports lose the Champions League and they don't, and some Premier League games, and they don't reduce the price of Sky at all. But BT get them, and they put their prices up from about £13 to £26. So how can one charge you more for one product, and if the other ones haven't got it, they don't charge you any less? We've been fucked over in every single direction until all the fans go, we're not having this anymore. 20's plenty. That's why I changed all the. Someone was doing that kind of thing, and that's what we need to do. Because without us, there is no game. Yeah. It fucking drives me nuts. This is why I stopped going, because it's all bullshit. Everyone's getting richer apart from us. I mean, when you get players on 350 grand a week, fuck off. Maximum of 10 grand a week, and even that is too much. That's how much they should be on. In fact, they should pay to play. There you go.
Danny just sorted for modern day British football.
Well, it is until the fans go, no, fuck you. Just have 3 or 4 games in a row when nobody goes to football. The advertisers are only advertising because they're advertising to us, and we're paying for that privilege. I mean, it's just everything is fucked, and it's never going to get any better until they start listening to people like Mark and his lot, and maybe Raj, because Raj will just get a little bit llama on
Mark's
them.
lot.
Oh, Mark's like, and all these people like that are all a little bit angry because they're pissed off that our game has been killed with money and people who don't give a fuck about football. Oh, let's bring my sandwiches in and going on my iPad and maybe watch EastEnders at a game. Fuck off. You should be beaten to death with your own iPad.
Let's be fair, if you're paying £10 for a hot dog as well, and 7-8 for a piss poor pint, it's not good, is it? Andrew, anything to add, mate?
Sometimes it's depressing when you're stood at Highbury and Islington station waiting for people to come out, and all you can hear is people asking what way's it to the station, mate. And this is before Bayern Munich. It's down Holloway Road on the right, and this is before Bayern Munich, and you've got people in their suits who ain't got a fucking Scooby-Doo where they're going, and they're not going to contribute anything to the atmosphere. And that's depressing when you've got real fans who've been priced out and they can't afford to go see their team in the biggest game in Europe that we've played in years, because we got Johnny Come Lately, Hero Henry's, just ruining the atmosphere and taking all the tickets away.
Are those your two flatmates?
Is he being serious there? I'm not sure if he's been a little bit tongue-in-cheek. There should be space for new people to come to football.
Cheeky fucking cunt.
There's got to be space for new people to come to football. I'm not saying that unless you've been going for 30 years, you're not coming in. But it shouldn't be half the stadium full of people that I don't even know which way. Which team are we? Are we the red ones or the blue ones? Fuck off. Maybe have about 1,000 seats of people that haven't been before. And then give tickets away to the kids so the kids can come and watch. But there again, that would mean football would be a fair and nice place to be, like it was in the old days. One day, when football's on its fucking arse and their season tickets are £50 a ticket, then maybe I'll start going again. But I'm not going to start going again until they all fuck off and stop ripping everybody off. But we pay for it all. That's what fucking drives me nuts. Everybody is paying for everything, apart from the people who are bleeding making all the money out of it. It's our game. Stop fucking killing it. And they won't. They'll milk it dry, and then they'll all go, well, we've had enough of this now, right? We'll sell the club and fuck off to somewhere else. But our owner doesn't even go to football. He doesn't even know what football looks like.
But I think one thing you picked up there, Danny, and one thing that's not made enough of a deal of, and there was a period where it was, and we have spoken about it before because you talk about the economic benefit and the economic value they bring, but a lot of it is also down to the players. We talk about the clubs being greedy, we talk about sponsors being greedy, about the chairman, the CEO being greedy, But as you may, his salary is so gargantuan. It's over 60% of the club's revenue goes directly into the pocket of players on salaries. As you said, players earning 150, 200 grand a week. That's where the biggest expense of this club's going. And so when we sit there and at the start of the pod and as fans we talk about heroic performances from players, these godlike performances, and we praise them to the hilt. Fucking hell, for the money we pay, that we shouldn't expect anything less. It's an absolute piss take.
It's like when Ian Wright signed. Hold on, Jace. It's like when Ian Wright signed for the club. He went in there, said, "I can't believe you want to sign me." I signed, and then he said, "Only after I'd signed the contract did I ask how much I was on." I think he was on $8,000 a week.
Yeah, but the thing is,
$8,000 a week. They wouldn't even give us the steam off their piss for $8,000 a week at the moment.
nah. I think a good start would be if you burned an agent in the centre circle before match.
Well, burnt the stadium down. That's my idea.
Oh,
Burn the
that's
stadium down.
Right,
Kill everyone who runs it.
That's enough. That's enough. Okay,
Don't.
now we're going to move
I'm
on.
getting angry.
Last week, Arsenal held the AGM, and a couple of
I'm going to have
boys.
to put myself on mute for this bit because
Yeah.
I'll just start screaming.
Shut up,
Thank you.
tart. A couple of the lads on the podcast were there, Mark and Andrew. Andrew, do you want to talk us through the AGM, mate?
Yeah, sure. So the AGM, as annual general meeting, is first and foremost, it's a session for any public limited company. It's its due diligence to its shareholders and to its investors. I see loads of bollocks on Twitter beforehand. It's not a chance for Twitterati and for fans to get one up and to get one up over the club. It's for people with a real financial interest in the business to ensure that those powers that be, those directors, are ensuring and delivering shareholder value. And that's what's imperative here. So when people moan about Arsenal fans and shareholders asking questions of Wenger and the board, it's not just about us having a moan. It's about us making sure that the club is run in a diligent way with structured corporate governance. I'd like to join in with Mark's boycott of the biscuits beforehand, although there was positive feedback from Tim Payton and others. This event, I mean, in terms of an AGM, I think, if other people who read the FT, you see companies, there's going to be articles where, big publicly listed companies, their AGMs are mentioned, there's analyst calls, but I can't think of any company in the world, be it in sports or any sector, which has such a well-documented and such media-hyped AGM as Arsenal's, which is, it just shows, the drama you expect from it. And the old boy, Sir Chips Keswick, didn't fail to deliver on that one, did he? We entered the stadium. We were given key rings. I think maybe to placate us from the off because of some of the hoorah from last year. But the tone was set very early on. So a disgruntled fan, Jeremy. His question was, I think, basically the club realised that the elephant in the room was the £3 million advisory fee that Kroenke's paid himself in the last 2 recent years, and he kind of tried to, bit of echo there. He tried to address this from the get-go. So he explained to us that the KSC have brought to Arsenal, they've helped evolve the club in property, media, commercial, and sporting management, and he basically tried to slap the question away. And in his usual posh mumbling self, and that set the tone for what turned to be quite a sour AGM from his perspective. It was an awful performance from Keswick, and I think it only went to prove that he's just not a capable man to be chairman of this club. We've got 2 guys on the board. We've got Sir John Chippingdale Lindley Keswick, and we've got the Baron Harris of Peckham. And we shouldn't be prejudiced, but 2 guys in their late 70s, former Etonians, what are they doing to progress the world-class status of Arsenal Football Club? I do not know, and I don't think they do either from kind of their performance. It was a shoddy performance from, and we're very lucky in that sense that we've only got 2 major shareholders, because the share price would have just plummeted on the back of that performance if it was any normal liquid stock. The club, well, I say the club, Keswick continued to treat shareholders with contempt throughout. He told one shareholder that his question was merely just noise, and at another point he had to deny that he was in cahoots with Kroenke, similar in vein to the to the relationship that Blatter had with Platini. It was just a shit show from him, basically. And I think we were very fortunate on the day to have Gazidis and Wenger basically realised that Keswick was letting himself down to the extent that they would routinely undercut him to give answers to questions which he would either simply fail to answer or just was incapable of answering. Gazidis took his stance as he usually does and gives a 10, 15-minute presentation, on the strategy of the club, where the club's now investing its money in new offices in Singapore, where there's, a £30 million investment in being made into Coney and Tail Hand. So the club's really very much looking at investing into bringing the values of Arsenal Football Club into the youth. It's looking at investing into the performance, the sports science for our players. And lots of very impressive, perhaps some of it rhetoric, but nonetheless, you can tell he's an ambassador to the football club, and you don't mind. You don't always have to agree with him. Some of the stuff he was saying on ticket prices, you could tell there was a bit of spin there, but he would do well for Arsenal. And likewise, Wenger, as always, gives a very good, very impressive speech. Likewise, you don't have to agree with it, but Keswick was just awful. And it really was embarrassing how poor he was, and just the contempt he was showing for work. I mean, at one point he was asked a question. Mark King's question came up around the living wage, and I know we're going to come on to that. And he turned around and he said, "Not that one again." And you just think, this guy is the chairman of Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal were created by the unions for the Queen's Armoury. This is a club founded by the working class people. And he's just showing latent contempt to people who are earning below the living wage at Arsenal Football Club. Well, we've got players on the pitch earning over hundreds of thousands of pounds. And
sorry to interrupt you there. So when people talk about Arsenal being a classy club, we basically have a fuckwit moron who does not give a shit about working men and people who work for the club, who put their effort in every day for the club. He does not care about their financial well-being. That's what you're saying.
He clearly doesn't care one iota. He personally. I mean, I know Mark's going to come on to this, and there's been some movement by Arsenal on this, which and we should credit them for that. Let's not take away from this, but he personally couldn't have any more contempt for working class or for people who have any, for anyone who dared question Arsenal's vision or strategy. There was no doubt. You could see him visibly lose his patience with fans who dared to question him. How dare these vagabonds stand up and challenge me? It was like he was the old Etonian boy, and the outer villagers were, ruining his football pitches. It was just a shoddy performance. And Arsenal Football Club, we're competing in a modern world-class environment, against the very best, most intelligent teams. And you think, if you're a young player, and there's no ageism here, let's be honest. If you're a young player and you turn up at Barcelona and Sergio Perez has got his arm around you and Zidane's got his arm around you, you're thinking, oh shit me, this is I'm the bollocks. If you turn up to Arsenal, yeah, sure, you've got Gazidis and Wenger, but then if you're going into the chairman's meeting room and you've got him, Keswick, sat in the corner pissed at his face on port, and he's clearly not got a scoop. I don't see what benefit or value he brings to Arsenal. And the same goes with, Baron Harris of Peckham. As I was saying to the boys in the WhatsApp group, Gazidis, you don't necessarily have to agree with him, but he's extremely astute and he knows football inside out. He's been developing the MLS since 1994, working for the marketing franchising arm, and he's an extremely competent speaker who's articulate and he's well versed. Keswick's just an idiot, and you just think, okay, he's not an idiot, but he's just incapable. And when we have people on the board like Keswick who clearly can't handle any football debate, and you got people like the Baron Harris of Peckham, as I was saying, you just think they're one champagne and lobster lunch away with an undercover fake shake journalist from the Sun from saying something really embarrassing on their views on immigration or race or something ridiculous which would just land this club in it. And we cannot afford to have those kind of people on our board.
So it seems as though a title, an education, and a lot of money can't buy you class or integrity.
It can't.
and it can't buy you a place on the board of a top-class football club any longer. Maybe in the 70s and the 80s, maybe when Hillwood, had people around him. The reason Keswick said we pay £3 million to Kroenke is because he's humble enough to know he doesn't have all the answers. Well, then have people on the board that do. You've got Gazidis, who's been working in football for over 20 years. You've got Wenger, who's been working in football for 40 years. That's fair. So why then have you got Josh Kroenke on the board, who's never worked in football? Why have you got the Baron Harris of Peckham, who's made his fortune from selling carpet, who's a member for bloody White's bloody gentleman's club, and he's literally the only relevance he has in the modern economy is that he's one of the biggest donors to the Tory party, and that's the only reason he makes headlines these days, or when he gets drunk and he tells papers that we have 200 million to spend, which we don't. It's just embarrassing that these two guys are spearheading the board at Arsenal, because clearly they're incompetent. They don't bring the value. They don't offer any capabilities to the club which we need. And we're very lucky that Gazidis has almost become a one-man show at Arsenal. People used to say he's the mouthpiece of Stan Kroenke. He really isn't. He walks and he talks the talk and he walks the walk, and he does make decisions which are disagreeable, and he's always going to have to, because he's a businessman who's doing what he thinks is best for Arsenal. Okay, so we're never going to agree with him, and if we did agree with him, he probably wouldn't be a very good CEO, because we probably would have collapsed in our arse, and we would be, living in Danny's paradise, where we have people getting into the stadium for free and it's anarchy and the stadium's burnt down. We can't have that. We have to take that. We understand he's very good, but Gazidis isn't enough. When we were developing, when we were getting Fly Emirates deals and we were moving, we've had the likes of David Dean, Keith Edelman, Danny Fisman, Fryer in his peak years. Now you feel like we're a one-man band with Gazidis. And just the AGM from start to finish was an absolute shit show, where we had this one posh guy at the front. It was like Animal Farm. Fucking 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, leading the masses, and the stakeholders and the shareholders actually stood up and said to him, "This isn't good enough." You had people shouting him that he was a disgrace, and that's not how any modern world-class business should be run. We've got market capitalization over $1 billion, so it's an absolute joke. It's an absolute joke that we're being treated like an old boys club, and you wouldn't have this at any comparable peer group sized company would not be running the same way. And if any chairman, could you imagine the chairman of Goldman Sachs talking to one of its senior investors the way he talked to the shareholder, where he told him his question was just noise? It's absolutely ridiculous. But nonetheless, it was a fun day out, and many people got their selfies of Arsene Wenger. So,
thank you.
All the merrier.
Just for the listeners' benefit, Andrew works in high finance for a very reputable company. He knows what he's talking about. Do not think that what Andrew's just said is him being biased in any way or shape or form. If you do, you're a fool. The man,
like me, where I'm just fucking angry and I know nothing.
Danny's angry and nuts, okay? Andrew Fife knows what he's talking about.
Listen to Andrew, he should run the club.
If you disregard what he has just said there, you're a fucking muppet. That's all I'm going to say in it. Mark, on to you, mate.
Yes, mate.
What were your thoughts on it? Or do you have anything to add to Andrew there?
Listen, Andrew has nailed it. Bang on there, It was very interesting. It's the only time I've ever been. To me, it was like an evening at the Bullingdon Club where they've told them the pig's head is off the menu. It was fascinating to see, but Andrew has said it all. I don't need to add anything more to that. He's nailed it.
Okay, so that was the AGM, listeners. I don't think any of us have anything else to add to that. That is your football club. These are the people who represent you, and that is what they think of you. You are noise. Your opinions don't matter shit.
It's disgraceful, isn't it, really?
And yet we're called a classy football club.
Do you not think they would have learned that? Was it last year, Keswick again? So they said to Wenger, so this year they asked him, is Wenger given targets at the start of every season? He didn't answer that for obvious reasons. Last year they asked him, last year he came up with a line, "We back Arsene Wenger when he has a plan, and we back Arsene Wenger even if he doesn't have a plan." Can you imagine Can you, as it was come up before, the CEO of Goldman Sachs saying that about one of their leading managing directors? We back this director to take this company forward, even if he doesn't have a plan. What's going to happen to that share price? How can they treat shareholders with such contempt that they would treat them like absolute idiots?
It's negligence.
Unbelievable.
It's negligent.
It's unbelievable.
And I want to make this clear as well. On the panel tonight, we have some very different views on the club, on the manager, etc., etc. But this is our football club.
Surely the most of the contempt was shown by Stan staying silent. Again, not saying much. Or he didn't talk, did he, last week?
But didn't they do this years ago by saying thank you for your inquiries into our business? Didn't they start all this off by years ago and getting away with it?
That was Lord Hillwood.
Yeah. And they got rid of him because he was an embarrassment, and they put Cech in, who's 10 times worse.
And he's basically
and the majority shareholder once again has said nothing. So there's your contempt.
Keswick is Hillwood's old friend and his old ally. They've been friends for years. So So there was never any question in doubt that was going to be made. But I mean, the Hillwoods over their tenure for the club have done a lot for the club. People who look into the history know that. But they've just got to that age now where they're no longer bringing anything to the club. A board of directors should have any business which is. Any business which has, for one, has shareholders, needs to have a diverse range of skill set on that board, because that's the most important thing. You can't have a homogeneous board. And if you take out, Josh Kroenke was put on that board last year, who's in his mid-phase, but we have 5 or 6 white males who are now 66 and above. There's no diversity, there's no skill set, there's no different way of thinking. We've only got, only Kroenke has a vast experience from, football management. We've got, it's just a shit show. And there's such a lack of structure and diversity and skill set, or a range of capabilities on that board. And you feel like it's holding us back. Why are we not bringing in people who have, the ability to transcend markets in Asia? Why don't we have that kind of people who are, finely tuned in analytics data, things that are going to start driving football in the future? But when we have 2 old boys who are sat there on the scotch in the back of the room, slapping each other's back on who had the bigger cock at Eton, it's just ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
And to your point, sorry, Andrew.
No, you carry on, Mark.
To your point, Raj, both the Kroenkes never said a word. There was not a word. Josh was down the far end of the table, and Stan was sat in between Wenger and Gazidis. And at one point, I turned to Andrew and I said, "I'm looking at Stan, and all I can think of is Weekend at Bernie's."
Yeah.
Now, for anyone who hasn't got a clue what Weekend at Bernie's is, they're probably like, "What the fuck is he on about?" But if you know, it was exactly like that, because it was like, "What? Why are you here?" I don't know whether Andrew can probably say whether he legally has to be there or something. I don't know, but he actually had nothing to say. And at one point, someone said, "Are we going to have any words from Mr. Kroenke?" And Chips went, "No."
Yeah. At one point. There was one point where someone asked a question and it clearly said addressed to Miss. One thing as well we need to pick up on is the club have started doing this thing where they say, right, we're going to take all shareholders' questions, and then they'll put 3 questions at a time on the board and try and amalgamate them, so you don't then see what the second and third question was, because they only answer the first one, and you start to think, hold up, what's going on here? So I was picking up on that, and you can just see the sheer number of questions which Keswick just failed to answer. And they weren't even that contentious kind of questions I'm talking about. It's just skirting around the edges, which led to the dissatisfaction. I mean, there was actual anarchy at the board from the get-go. This Jeremy guy I think he got a rip-roaring applause for going for this was his 50th AGM. Within 10 minutes, he got up and actually stopped the AGM and demanded that the Keswick answer the question. One guy asked Keswick whether the £3 million agreement which he has with paying Kroenke was like the payment, as I mentioned earlier, that Blatter was it any written evidence for the services, or was there no written agreement? And it was like Blatter and Pellegrini. He had to confirm there was no written agreement, and so it's like, what a shit show. There was a queue of 15 people waiting to hammer Keswick from his performance, and
incredible. At one point, he answered, "To win the league, you have to win more points than your competitors," and then just laughed off as though it was just some posh rhetoric. And Arsene Wenger basically had to say, chill, I've got this. Stopped him mid-sentence and then started talking about what it takes to win the league, because the people that you could just see, Gazidis had his hands over his face at some points. It was laughable performance from him. Whereas Gazidis, as ever, was full of confidence, full of juice, and he delivered like you expect him to. But the front man, it was just embarrassing.
And I heard that Wenger spoke well.
He did. Wenger always speaks very well. To be fair, he's very good in these situations. I think there's been too many times now where Wenger's basically had to save the board, or when we've gone into AGMs where Wenger's given very very rip-roaring speeches, and there was a rapturous applaud even from some people to my right who clapped him, which I was very surprised about. He talked about, the vision of the club, what he's working on personally, where the club needs to improve. He was humble. He does say, he says, 19 years in the Champions League is a good record, but, for me, it's not good enough. We need to be winning it. And he accepts, that back-to-back FA Cup wins aren't good enough, and which I thought was surprising. But, you can tell he always speaks of hunger and ambition and desire. And I know there's people with lots of different opinions on Wenger, and you might, just think it's all chat. But he always puts in a very good account of himself at these AGMs. And afterwards, he's always very friendly as well. He takes the time out to speak to a lot of people. He doesn't have to. As I mentioned on Twitter, there was one kid there that went up to him, and he didn't have anything on him. And I think he had on him this economics textbook. And he went up to Wenger and he was a bit embarrassed. And he actually asked him to sign the economic textbook. And, Wenger started asking about it, and he said, this is my A-level economic textbook. I'm really embarrassed, but I know you did economics, Wenger. And then Wenger took, 5-10 minutes to start asking him, what economics are you doing at A-level? What do you enjoy? Are you going to do at university? It's a real he was really interested in speaking to people. He took a lot of time, a lot of care. And, and that goes really against some of the portrayal that he's been getting in the media lately from, stuff like Sam Allardyce's autobiography. And he really showed a lot of caring side. Whereas you think the flip side, Keswick just went on there and he did all he could to end that as quickly as possible and piss off as many people as possible and show as much contempt for the working man as possible. And if it wasn't for Gazidis and it wasn't for Wenger, that AGM could have, been very embarrassing for the club in the media.
Right. Brilliant. Thank you, Andrew. That's brilliant. Mark, I'm going to come to you now. Stop acting big in the bloody chat box and talk to us about the living wage, pal. Talk to us about the living wage. Listeners, you don't want to see what he's put in there. Oh, he's full of shit. It's unbelievable.
Living wage.
Wanker.
Crack on.
Yeah. I mean, to be perfectly honest, right, I'll have to say I've kind of got sort of a fair bit of credit for that, and I'm a bit sort of reluctant to take too much of it. What happened was it's over a year ago, so well before the last AGM, I was getting so fucked off with the amount of arguing that was going on between the various Arsenal fan groups. We couldn't agree with anything. And in my opinion, and I still hold this opinion because things haven't got a great deal better. They got a little bit better, but not a great deal better. The club are laughing at us because we spend all our time arguing with each other, so we're too busy to actually focus on trying to take the club on in the matters that really matter. So things like the ticket pricing and the living wage and other things like that. So I wrote something, and I believe it was the Gooner that very kindly, Kevin at the Gooner kindly put it up for me. And then Le Grove had been banging on about the living wage a lot. And so I thought, well, hold on, surely this is something that everyone can agree on. So I kind of tried to get the fan groups to agree, even fucking Acer, to my utter disbelief, agreed on it, and a few big blogs and that, and we wrote an open letter to the club before the AGM, and we asked a question at it last AGM, which they kind of answered not all that well, but they answered it. So then a year later, we asked the question again because this is what you have to do, and and they've come out with an answer which is kind of it expresses positivity. Now, the only thing is that we have to keep on at this, because at this moment in time, I hate to go on about this, but there is £8 million going into the Premier League from the start of next season, and yet the only 2 clubs that have committed to paying the living wage, so that's the living wage that you have for in London and outside of London. So obviously in London it's a slightly higher amount, which is more than the national minimum wage that the government sets. Are Chelsea, who did it, I think, at the back end of 2014, and also Norwich City. Now, to pay this, all the Premier League clubs, when they announced this big deal, they said, "Oh, we're going to pay it to all our staff." Now, the big thing is that a lot of the staff who work at football clubs work on match days. And when they work on match days, they're normally contracted out to, another company, caterers, security, cleaning companies and that. So it's very easy for clubs to pay. We'll pay our living wage to all our employees by the end of the 2016-17 season, because they've only got to actually do that to the staff that they employ directly. And most of those are probably going to be staff that are performing work at the level where you'd pay them that. All of the staff that are contracted are the guys that are cleaning up after we've been in the stadium. They're the ones serving you your food and drink. It includes, I don't know, maybe the match day sellers and maybe not. I don't know the full details. But all the people who kind of do the sort of dirty jobs, as you'd say. And these are the people that the football clubs should be giving the living wage to. It's not a huge amount. In London, it's £9.15 in London. So it's not asking a lot for a club that is quite happy to pay footballers over £100,000 a week, or to pay Gazidis. I think Gazidis earns something stupid. Don't know whether Andrew knows. Is it something like 3 million in total?
Yes, 2.3, I think, something like that.
2.3 million. So Gazidis getting 2.3 million, and his players earning £100,000 a week. But the club can't commit to paying their staff and their contracted staff the London living wage of £9.15 an hour. Now, they've said that they've said, oh yeah, we're going to do it. We're looking at renegotiating contracts with our suppliers, and they mentioned, I think, a new maintenance contract, and they've somehow introduced that into this new contract for the maintenance, that the other company has to pay any contracted staff that living wage. So that's fine, but this is what they say. And the other problem is that most of these people, I would suggest, work for under the catering umbrella. And that's a contract that we've got, I believe, with a company called Delaware North. And that contract is some kind of ridiculously long contract that I think Keith Edelman signed us into when we needed a load of money up front for the stadium. And I think it runs for about probably another 5 or 10 years or something. So Arsenal are in a big, difficult situation where they're going to have a problem doing that one. Now, to do the living wage, you have to actually become accredited as a living wage employer. And as I say, the only 2 clubs have done it is Chelsea. Right? Yeah, they got bags of money, but the other club is Norwich. So how do Norwich manage it and we can't? What I would have liked to have said at the AGM is, right, okay, thank you for that, Ivan. You've kind of like bluffed us off a bit on what we're doing, but we will hold him to account on this and we will ask for details. But I'd have said, do you not, with the amount of money that is in football, that you're paying out players and that, do you not feel any kind of moral obligation to pay the people who look after your matchday fans and make their matchday experience, a comfortable one and a pleasant one, other than on the pitch? Do you not feel like you should pay them what is considered to be a living wage for people in London? These are probably, a lot of them are students or whatever, and they need that money. So we will keep hammering the club to do this. And what I was going to say is that anybody who actually agrees with me on this, there is a tweet that I will be sending out after the show, which is for Twitter. It's at Living Wage UK are the people that try and push this through, and it's a tweet to the Premier League about paying a living wage. So I'm going to send it out, and if everyone else hopefully if they can spare 2 minutes to send the tweet. I'm not saying retweet me. Just do whatever you want, but send the tweet to the Premier League, copy in the at Living Wage UK handle, and let's try and do something to pay the people who work pretty hard, and I know some people have issues with the people that get employed to serve the food and drink, but besides that, but let's try and do something to make a difference to get the club to actually hold good on what they've said. And obviously look at Jason, you go on, you say what you were going to say.
Let's be honest, okay, for a club with Arsenal's financial resources, it's not a case of can't pay the living wage, it's a case of won't pay the living wage. I know you have contracts in place and so forth, but with the financial resources available to this club, if there was the moral desire to pay these people this paltry sum of money, it's not a large sum of money, when we can afford to pay millions of pounds to footballers a year. It's not a case of can't, it's a case of won't, and that's disgraceful.
And that's the point right there. And you used the word as well earlier, Jason, class.
Yeah.
One thing that I find galling is when people on Twitter, people that don't go to games, armchair fans, people are laughing at the likes of Mark and fans who are putting their neck on the line and making a stance and doing what they can to make things better for match-going fans or for match day members of staff, whether it be through cheaper tickets or raising awareness for the need for a living wage. And it's not because people, Mark and others, want to just be a nuisance and create attention themselves. It's because these people want to hold Arsenal to account for the standards that the club have created itself. Arsenal always has prided itself on being a class. And so when the real fans of Arsenal want Arsenal to do things the Arsenal way, then we should be applauding these kinds of protests and these displays, and acts which are going to bring the class back to the club. This is exactly the right kind of action that we need to be taking. And I fully back what Mark's.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that kind of gets me, you get the Twitter issues where people abuse players, and everybody has a bad moment now and again. But come the anniversary of Rocky's death, every fucker puts up a picture of him and saying, "Remember who you are and remember what you represent." Well, if you're prepared to fucking represent a club that cannot pay men and women a fucking decent wage, and don't fucking bother. Don't fucking shove that in my face. Don't fucking abuse people. Fuck it. These are human beings. These are human beings. Pay them a decent wage. It's not asking much when you look at the balance sheet of that fucking football club. And that's all I have to say on that. Does anybody else want to add anything?
I think Mark and Fife summed it up perfectly for me. I've got nothing more to add. It's 100% support from me.
Danny, do you want to burn anybody?
No, it's just epidemic, isn't it, of current financial culture. And what did I say? Epidemic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they need, an epidemic. Yeah, endemic of the current financial things with most things in life. It's those who have it don't want to give it, and they want to charge everyone else who doesn't have it as much as so they can have more.
Yeah, fair, well said.
It's all take and take. It's never give and take. And there again, I suppose, if most of the people who are in these situations, who are on £5.30 an hour and stuff like that, I suppose if they were multi-billionaires, they wouldn't really give a damn about the people who are on little amounts of money. That's just humans as it is. You always moan about what stuff until you get it, and then when you get it, you
this is sociology, but calm down.
Right, calm down. I ain't called anyone a cunt yet.
I'll do it later. Right, let's go to questions.
Okay, right. From Block 99, he says, "I've got one. What do you think of fans making money out of doing fans tours of pie shops? I will be listening," he says with a cheeky smile. Anyone want to answer that?
It's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant idea. I've just formed a company.
Have you?
Yeah.
What, twats?
Hey, yeah, twats. Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, and if you want to know why, it will cost you £10, and I'll DM you my PayPal details later.
Is that to your offshore PayPal account?
It is.
It is. Right, okay. From Nicola Thelis says, how impressed of the mental strength of Bellerin are you guys? Had a terrible start to the game, but fought his way back. Jace, you can tell that about swearing or getting angry.
Yeah, no, to be fair to him, I was worried about his defensive capabilities earlier on the season. He's learning all the time. He's doing well, and he's getting a backbone, the lad. You know, he's really, really keeping on going, pushing himself. It's very exciting watching him come through. You know, this guy could be better than Ashley Cole.
Yeah, good. Okay, rather than asking everybody the same question, I'd ask you each one, unless you really want to chime in on one. Right, Chennai Guna says, if we get through to the knockout stages, discuss the pros and cons, Mark.
Pros and cons of what? Getting
through to the knockout stage, yeah.
Yeah. Well, go on, Raj, if you go on.
No, I just said there's no cons. You want to, I mean, going back to what we said earlier on, I want to win every competition we're in, but yeah, if we get through to the next round, great. You know, I'll be excited. Hopefully, we'll play some more bigger teams and give ourselves a chance. I don't know, but there's no cons to progressing in the competition.
I mean, I can't
apart from the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see us finishing fourth, but I can see us finishing second or third. So, you know, back to Raj's point earlier, maybe if we finish second and, you know, we get knocked out by fucking Real Madrid. I'd like to be perfectly honest, it'd be nice to play. I'm sick of playing Bayern and Barcelona, so let's play Real Madrid. I'd like to see Real Madrid come to the Emirates. So
yeah.
Let's not forget there's obvious pros as well. You know, you've got increased match day revenue. You're going to get increased TV revenue. You're more likely to attract top stars next summer, and you're also going to be pitting the stars that we do have now against the top clubs in Europe. And I think, you know, even though we are prone to a howler in Europe, aka Monaco, we've shown we can beat any team on our day. You know, we can be a great cup side, and we can give the fans, you know, that kind of excitement we had on Tuesday. If we can have some more of them this season, it'd be fucking brilliant.
Well, exactly. We've won 2 cups in 2 years, so you know we are a great cup side. The only difference is that to win the Champions League, we've got to play fucking Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, and not Brighton and Villa and Reading.
Yeah, but Chelsea did it with a shit team. I think it's one of those competitions which, if, you know, you get a little bit of luck in the draw, and then you take advantage of it like we did last year.
When was that? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it didn't happen. It's all
I
been wiped out.
don't know what you're on about, mate.
When I was coming up at Greenwich Station at about midnight on Tuesday, some fucking bold skinhead started shouting at me about the Champions League. And then by the time we got to the bottom of the stairs and I was at the top, he started shouting Chelsea, Chelsea. What a cunt.
Look, they're vile bottom-feeding twats. By the way, you English boys also need it for your coefficient. Blah, blah, blah. Well, then, next question. Come on.
Okay, this is from @Mark71AFC, and I put this to Mark. Who's your first choice to take over from Wenger if and when he goes?
I've got a horrible feeling that the club will come up with some plan of Wenger's making, which I'm not wholly convinced of. Personally, all the decent managers are looking like they're probably going to be unavailable because, you know, Klopp's already at Liverpool, although he may just get 2 years Premier League experience before we can grab him, although tonight he's not covering himself in glory tonight. It looks, you know, Ancelotti will be back in the game by next season. Roma. And Pep will probably end up at Man City. I don't know. I personally, I think it's going to be a very difficult period when the first manager comes in that takes over from Wenger. So I would like to maybe see it be someone like Ancelotti, because I think Ancelotti is experienced enough to probably deal with that situation and maybe not be overawed by Wenger still having been moved upstairs onto the board because they want to bring the average age down. Oh no, hold on. That's not right. But, you know, so I think Ancelotti would probably be a good move for a couple of years, and then who knows who'll be available by then.
I found it quite funny last week that all the papers decided that Wenger was going to retire in 2017 just because, they just read between the lines, didn't they, in his press conference.
Idiot John Cross again, acting like a cock.
Hello, John, if you're listening.
Leave him alone. He was great on the pod.
Yeah, John Cross, friend of the show. Fucking wank spanner.
You asked for
Shit the bed.
What a hypocrite! You asked for him to sign your autobiography and got a selfie with him the other day. You can.
Oh.
Have you been
Oh, you look at him.
Andrew, no one is ever going to believe what you say about me because you just make up bullshit all the time.
I'm never sure if he's telling the truth or not. Oh dear. Anyone else got any thoughts on who they'd like to replace Wenger?
Yeah, it'll be Arteta.
John Cross off.
2032.
John Cross.
Right. Next one is from Oliver Norgrove. When should Gabriel be selected over Mertesacker and vice versa, Jace?
When he fucking earns it. Stop asking stupid questions. Come.
Fair enough. There you go. Don't annoy Jace because he'll just have.
Jason, that was a bit chips, that mate. Come on, you can't treat the shareholders with that kind of disrespect, mate. Come on.
Petr Mertesacker put in a cracking performance Tuesday night. Oh, we're just gonna fucking forget about it. But you know, I'm blah.
They love it when they get a bit of Welsh justice laid upon them without asking for it. Anyway, next question from Akshay. Are the attackers genuinely boosted by a superior defensive performance because we are no longer scoring 1 and conceding 2? Mr. Fife.
No.
Mark.
I'm sure that they all sit there and go, the defence is playing so well, we only need 1 goal, so that's obviously the reason why Giroud misses so many goals.
I think he's got a point. Like I was saying earlier with the goal, with having Cech in goal, it just makes everyone a little bit more relaxed because we only need 1 goal and we can probably win it.
Yeah, of course it does. The guy's point is, look, the more confidence you have with you, you've only got to look at the old Arsenal with Seaman, Dixon, Adams, Bold and Winterburn. You knew that 1 was enough with those 5 at the back.
I think we're getting like that again at the moment, and it's brilliant. All right, next question from Pers Svensson. Jeez, he's put 3. Just shout if you want to answer it. Should we risk Alexis on Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, he'll play every game, Danny. He wants to play every single game.
Good on him.
So he'll play and play. He doesn't seem to get tired.
Yeah, the bottom line is they know his physical state. We don't.
His next one. Oh, go on, Jace. You keep pausing.
Sorry, they know his physical
breathe?
state. They know his physical state. They know if he's ready to go or not. They know. So everybody else just makes assumptions.
He says, can we win against Bayern at their place?
Of course we fucking can.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, let's go. And his third one is about, should we sign anyone in January? Should we? Yes. Will we? No. Right, this is from Grandad, who is at Sahil Dhanak. Danak? Maybe? I didn't butcher that one. That's a shame. A change?
You did.
Different? Fuck off. With Ramsey being played out wide, what do you think Jack Wilshere needs to do to get into this team when he's back playing?
Fit.
Stay fit.
So where do you think Jack's best position is? Or do you think it's going to be a case of play 1 week, not the next?
I'd rotate him for Cazorla.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jack. Is everyone else a big fan of Jack?
We're all big fans of Jack's, but he's got to prove his fitness. I mean, he's broken,
not a 10 though, is he?
Let's be honest, he's got to stay fit and he's got to earn his place. It's the same with the Gabriel situation, okay? It's not a case of when they come in. It's a case of them earning the position. So, all these questions are quite moot at the moment because...
Okay, well, we've got 3 more, and then that's it. Highbury Josh says, should we stick with Theo as he rarely threatens off of the bench and Giroud seems to work well off of the bench? Anyone?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Sounds like someone's having a wee.
No, I mean, you get 70 minutes of having to concentrate on Theo and his runs. Yeah, all of a sudden you bring on a completely different style of centre forward who is actually going to physically get stuck into you. And you could see last night that he made a big difference from it. So I think he's a great plan B to bring off the bench. Yeah.
But I think Giroud needs to watch a few videos of John Fashanu, Duncan Ferguson, Alan Smith, and all those lot, just to see how you actually use your elbows when you're a striker.
To be fair, Tuesday night he was up for it, wasn't he? And
that was the beard. He's got a manly beard now, so he had to act like a man.
He's
what?
He's not happy. If this situation carries on to the end of the season, he'll be off in the summer. Well, I don't know. He's on 130, 140 grand now. Maybe there might not be a club of Arsenal size or stature that's going to pay him that.
He's not on 130 grand
130,000 euros
a week.
Yeah.
You got a big pay rise in the summer.
Yeah,
you got a pay rise. Him and Walcott got pay rises, right? So yeah, maybe. But the thing is, he is not. I mean, you, Raj, I know you sit not too far, just one above, and Mark, you're quite close. than one where we were. Drew come on. Visibly, he did not look happy at all. He was throwing himself around. He was getting involved. But
Maybe that's what he needs.
But you can usually see in his face the passion in it. It was almost like he was. You remember when Anelka? I remember Anelka said he left Arsenal because he once read a poll on the Arsenal website where the fans said they don't think he's ever going to be as good as Ian Wright, and he thought, "Fuck you, I'm going to become good, score goals, and then when you need me most, I'm going to fuck off." Giroud's almost playing like he looks soulless. He just doesn't look like he wants to be there. He's not. He played well and he gave what he could, but he didn't. There's no expression to him. And that's not Giroud at all. It's hard to describe, but when you see him play, you can see the passion and desire in his face. And you just couldn't see. He did not look like he wanted to be there.
Andrew, that bit about Anelka, is that from the same book where Vieira slapped him across the face with his cock in the showers?
No. I have read that passage from there.
I didn't know Anelka could read. I'm shocked. I thought Anelka could just colour in. Anyway, final question. I'll give this one to Raj because he's probably going to laugh. This is from which way? Where is it? Where's it gone? Okay, from Emery, who is at North Bank Emery. Do you think Mourinho's obsession with Wenger will make him end up hanging himself in a mental institute?
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, he is absolutely obsessed with Arsene Wenger, and I don't know. I think he's losing the plot in some ways, and I reckon he'll get the can before Christmas anyway, the way he's going at the moment. But I'm quite enjoying it. The more he obsesses about it, the more he fucks up with Chelsea, to be quite honest. So keep going, Jose.
He's unravelling at the seams, isn't he?
Brilliant.
It's great to watch.
I think Jose is trying to beat Frank Lampard's deflection record at Chelsea.
Oh, Christ. So is that it, Dan?
Yes, certainly is.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, right. So that's it. Right, lads, shout-outs. Andrew.
Shout out to Red Action for the fine work they put in behind for the display before the game at the Emirates on the weekend. It set the tone for what was a fantastic game. So fair play and great stuff to those guys. And then just one guy who I've been interacting with this week who's made me laugh a few times, Rob Kenton. At Rob Kenton, that's Kenton with a K, all one word. Funny guy. He said that the £70 Mark and I were charging to come have a beer with us on Holloway Road was a bargain because Tony Adams charged him £200 for a selfie with the statue outside the ground, which made me chuckle. Good follow and keep it up.
Jesus. Mark King.
Yeah, two very quick ones. First one, as I said earlier, is at Living Wage UK. Give these guys a bit of support. It's not just football. They're trying to do it. They do it across all industries. But definitely, please try and have a look at the tweet that I sent and send it. Let's make the Premier League know what we think about that. And the other one is for Glenn, who came along and helped with the banner. He was a big help with that at the ticket protest before the United game. And that's AFC_Glenn. He's a top follower as well. So
he's a cheeky monkey.
He's a good follow, he is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And he knows his football. He knows what he's on about.
Raj Patel.
I promised someone a shout-out, and he tweeted me today, and I can't find his tweet because he wanted me to say his name, but I can't remember who he was, so I've got no one. I'll tell you what, I'll give it to at Arsenal Governor, GUVNOR, who came out with a great tweet today. It's time for the BSM to come out in full support of Arsene and a new contract offer. Alienated majority with current stance. This was in response to one of my tweets where I was saying what a great few weeks it has been for the club. So there you go. Negativity after my positivity.
Oh, Jesus. He'll be trying to get him involved in a bloody march next, won't he? Oh, never mind. Right. My shout... Oh, Danny. Sorry, mate.
Okay, mine's going to go to Tyrone, TYRONE_718. He's just a cheeky monkey. And he always says hello on the radio show, and he's always he's an interesting bloke. And I think he's grown a beard at last, or he's found one of my old ones. Either way, yeah, he's a funny bloke.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay, right, for myself, it's Mark Fine at Mark J Fine, Fine. He's a top man. He's really good to interact with. He's brilliant.
Lots of running. Always sends us a tweet of his latest run and how distance he did. And he says he listens to our podcast as he's doing it.
Yeah, damn right. He's a good lad. He's a big support of the podcast. He's superb.
He is.
on behalf of the podcast, this week we saw the sad passing of Howard Kendall. Everton's greatest ever manager, I think. 2 titles, a team with great football, built around Welshmen, obviously. It's very sad. A big good luck to Johan Cruyff, who's been diagnosed with lung cancer. I haven't read the whole article, just bloody sad. Hope he does well. And happy birthday, Arsene Wenger. He got 5 goals this week, son. Well done. Fucking there we go. Mark, shut up, you moaning bitch. It's Arsene Wenger's party. Arsene
Bring
Wenger's...
your vodka around, Charlie.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Oh, I'm all excited now.
He's 66 today.
Yeah, well done, Arsene Wenger. 66, 5 goals. Fucking ramming it to Pep Guardiola. Have that, you Spanish git. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Bit racist.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, what? He is Spanish. He's a proud
Couldn't
Spaniard.
even get of all the names that have been called on this pod tonight. I think he's got away with it lightly.
Exactly.
Shitbag.
I've got a lot of respect for the Spanish, and I've got a lot of respect for Pep Guardiola.
Donkey murdering shitbag.
You just called him a Spanish git.
Yeah, but he'd take offence at that because he's a Catalonian, isn't he? Or Catalan.
Same bloody thing.
I'm not getting involved in this minefield. I'm a Welshman. I don't care.
They all look the same to him.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Just one thing, guys. We are currently looking for votes in the Football Blogging Awards. There is a tweet on the Twitter site. The boys will be tweeting out. You tweet a link and he gives a vote. We're the only Arsenal podcast left in it. And we're the only Arsenal podcast that won't charge you for a tour of the Emirates because Jeff Arsenal and Raj Patel pay for fucking everything. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Fucking have it. Come on, you Gunners.
Oh, dear.
Oh, shit. I've upset upstairs. Take care to that.
Bye.
Oh, boys, that's it. And it's happy birthday, Arsene Wenger, and we talk about the FBAs.
Sorry, what was that last one?
Happy birthday, Arsene Wenger.
Fuck off. Have you made that up?
It's his birthday.
So?
For fuck's sake.
Was my birthday on the fucking pod? I don't get wish happy birthday.
I think you find you did. You got the virtual bump.
Yeah. You fucking did, mate.
We had a moment's silence because you were 50, but pretended you were 49.
You 50, Raj?
It's no, I'm 49. It's fine in here.
You sure? You sure you're not 50?
I'm 49. 50 next year.
You said this last year.
No, I didn't. I said I'm born in 1966.
You had to think about that.
18th of September 1966.
Yeah, I was born in 66 as well. Were you, Chase?
Which passport's that on?
He's got a Nigerian passport.
Can we start, please, before I die?
Fucking not far off now, are you, boy? Shit, the bed.